Hello, everyone. It's me, Hunt, because I'm on the hunt for a game that will fill that void deep inside me. We have our regular co-host, Big Boy Chungus, here. Say hello.
Hello.
Yeah. And then we finally have the rest of our D&D party here today. That is correct. The D&D episodes have finally started. We have Karen, Slayer of Managers. Say hello.
Hello.
That's her. Doesn't sound like she slays managers. She's too polite. She's too polite.
Only because the mic's on.
Yeah. And then you wanted to change your name?
I'm going by Kami now, because in this world I am God.
Yeah, he's our DM. But if the one called Fate's ready to knock at your door, then we'll get our very first Dungeons & Dragons episode of the podcast started. This is the episode I've been looking forward to the most since the podcast started. Dungeons & Dragons is...
Life.
It's one of the best games ever made.
It's Chungus's life, anyways.
Yeah, a little too much.
It is now.
This is actually an intervention. This is absolutely an intervention.
I have a problem.
We're recording it to get you online support. But as usual, we're going to roll our d20s for initiative to see who goes first. And as always, if the person who gets it and doesn't want to go first, Karen, you can yield your time to somebody else if you're choosing.
Oh, thanks.
Because I know you don't want to go first. So...
You gotta roll in the ball, or in the...
That's really far
tied.
from me. I got 2.
Ooh.
I got 4.
We got 16.
Karen and Kami got 16.
Okay,
Are
so
we
you
doing
go
a roll
ahead.
off?
Yep.
I hope I win.
You got 7.
Oh, I got a 20.
Ah, 17
Oh,
20.
Nat or a crit
Well,
success.
you need to go first anyways because you're dungeon master. I meant to have you go first anyways. Yeah,
Well,
So it all works
Worked
out.
Yeah.
Dice knew.
because I said twice before we started, I need you to talk first and then we'll roll. And then I got into my routine.
Well, now we know the order anyway, so it's all good. So yeah, I'll go ahead and start explaining the D&D world that I set up. So it's kind of inspired loosely off of medieval Germany with a bunch of small principality states.
And this is an original campaign. It's not
Yes.
one you can buy from a book.
Well, I mean, if you want to buy it from me, it's selling for $19.99. Just go ahead and send me your PayPal info.
Don't tell Wizard though, because we're not going to license it.
Absolutely joking. But so it's inspired off of medieval Germany with various principalities and city-states. So this particular city-state that our unfortunate protagonists have wandered into is a theocratic city-state. They only managed to make it about a day in this city, and suddenly in the middle of the night they wake up in the Archbishop's personal study, and the Archbishop has been clearly killed by their weapons. And now they have to figure out what to do about that.
Right, bro. Thank you for laughing at that. I can live another day.
Maybe not in the game.
Oh, that makes me upset for what we're going to play tonight.
Just as I was getting to like your
Is
character.
I know, right?
Continue on our setup.
So that's the really quick and dirty setup. The first session establishes a lot of the canon and the way this city functions. But again, it is a theocratic city-state. The city itself is Rothberg, again, kind of a German-inspired name. And it's split into 3 subdivisions. The most centralized and most important area is the clerical area, where the cathedral and thus the Archbishop's office, where our protagonists wake up in. Next is a ring around that, which holds the nobility, and then outside of that is your business merchant area. So that's the main city. Across the river is a slummy area where the peasantry live. The entire city is encircled by a wall, and there is a river that runs through the city, subdividing it into the 2 halves. The city historically, again, I'm the nerd and I went overboard, but the city is a merchant haven, with a massive river running through it and a highway running by. It makes a lot of cash off of taxing the crap out of things. But the wall has existed historically to keep out people who wanted to raid said rich city. However, it's also really good at keeping people in. I don't know if you want me to keep going, because that's kind of the initial setup that I gave you.
That sounds like enough. I think the 3 of us need to explain our characters before we... Well, explain as much as we're allowed to explain.
Yes, anything that's been revealed to the characters, because going in, I had people create rumors about their characters that I could distribute as I wanted to pass information in a more organic kind of way.
Yeah, so we probably should keep rumors secret until they're known by everybody.
Yeah, that.
But I'll start first just as an example. My guy is Gaddick McMoneyhaver. I stole the first name from a common writer, and the second part I straight up couldn't think of a last name. But I wanted to play a rogue, but I didn't want to be, I grew up on the streets, someone killed my parents, swear to me, kind of rogue, you know what I mean? I didn't want to be the same rogue that every high school emo kid plays. So my guy is a rogue and a noble, pretty unusual combination. He was kind of pushed out of his family and didn't have any skills because he never needed skills because he had money. So he developed rogue skills in order to survive. And he's kind of a jerk. I know everyone seems to want to play as a jerk, like as a power fantasy, but he's more of a jerk because he doesn't have social skills. Like, he didn't have to have social skills because he had money, right? Just like my dad in real life.
Getting dark here.
That was a joke. That's basically my guy. You could think of 1,000 reasons for a noble to be in that city. But how about you, Karen?
My character is a fighter. That I'm not gonna lie. I'm vanilla when I play. I always play human. I play the fighter. I also knew that these guys hadn't played D&D ever or in a long time.
Yeah,
so.
I hadn't played in almost a decade, and I'd never played 5e.
So
this is the first campaign I've ever played, so...
Yeah, so I figured, I need to be the frontliner so they would survive longer than one session.
That's smart. That was very considerate.
Even though they tried to kill themselves so many times in the first session.
Now, to be fair, you're not guiltless in trying to get people killed.
Oh, yeah.
I thought the main criticism of me was that I didn't put myself in danger enough. I thought was the criticism.
That is your criticism. We'll get to that.
We'll get to that.
Yeah. So there's plenty to make fun of for everybody. Everybody's dumb and bad.
Yes.
What was your character's name, Karen?
Oliver Gideon, because that's a really great name. I forgot.
I actually don't think that's a bad D&D name
not.
at all. I think
It's
Gideon's
actually-
real good.
It's actually the same name as one of my favorite planeswalkers from Magic the Gathering, so...
Didn't we use
Nerd.
like a name generator and you ended up pulling these two because out of like a set of 20, these were like the two good things to slap together?
I think for some reason I based him off of like an actual voice actor or so. I don't remember how I got the name.
What I like is you use a Green Ranger mini when we play, but your person's name is Oliver. So I think your character should start saying, "You have failed this city."
Yes, please.
He's dead now.
And then he eventually gets into a really bad
Season 8.
Socratic
Spoiler alert!
relationship.
It was very heavily
After season
publicized.
4.
Yeah, he wasn't a big fan of the way they ended that character, but different conversation.
Yeah.
we should definitely do that one day. But yeah, so he's I don't know.
So
Oliver's
You're a
just,
folk hero.
yeah.
Yeah,
Background.
that came in handy. Yeah.
Yeah, so far already.
Yeah. I'm just
Just chilling
frontlining
out?
for these guys, trying to get them to survive, even though they want to kill themselves.
well, speaking of killing themselves, I guess I'll talk about...
Speaking of killing themselves, now that seems like the perfect segue into my character because I don't know how to play.
Well, exactly, because when I created this character, first thing, this was my first character I ever created.
Pause.
Oh yeah, you got to roast him for doing it by himself.
Pause.
I have actually enacted a new rule. Anytime I GM for somebody, they're not allowed to make their character without me in the room. Not because... For a couple of reasons.
After watching YouTube videos now, that's what you're supposed to be doing, but you never contacted me to have a character creation
That's
session.
not true.
I told you to show up an hour before the session started so we could make it before we play.
I remember that very text in the D&D group chat.
So you got there early so that we could set it up, but then Hunt just happened to be there early anyways because he lived at that house at the time and still
Oh
does.
yeah.
So I told you that, and then you picked the least optimized sorcerer class to use for a new player that I, as a GM, would have never let you do if you hadn't already put hours of work into your character.
Whoa. We gotta.
I absolutely would have shut that
Hey,
down.
let her talk. She wants to talk to the manager real quick.
We'll watch out.
I do, but that's the one thing. The first time you play D&D, you do not play a magic user. They are so much harder to play than a fighter or even a rogue. I mean,
That
Or a
being said,
ranger.
it's a good thing we have a magic user for this campaign.
He just happens to be really, really
It
incompetent.
just happens to be the worst possible thing. And
Actually,
we'll
you're
get-
an arcane trickster, so you technically
Oh,
a
yeah.
mage class as well.
I never think of my dude as magical.
Until you
But
cast a fog to save your
our
character's
until our
lives.
shoot ice is some. Yeah, we'll get to that.
Yeah,
We'll get to
So,
that.
to give you guys some more details on my character, his name is Fate, like the one who knocks.
Yeah.
That's where that meme comes from.
We did explain it in a previous episode, just so people would know what we were talking about. But you'll hear it more organically in a sec.
And like I said earlier, he is my first D&D character, which this was kind of a passion project for me, but I clearly did not think into how to put this guy together. He is a tiefling sorcerer with a folk hero background who happens to be chaotic good. He was a good idea at first. Now he is a clustered mess.
Now, what type of sorcerer is he?
Oh, yeah. He's not just a draconic sorcerer. He's not even a wild magic sorcerer, which are what you usually start off with as a first sorcerer. No, he is a storm sorcerer, who I learned later is a DLC subclass and is really
Not
niche
very good.
when it comes to... Well, he has some cool abilities, but they don't activate until later levels.
Well, what they usually do is end up getting, children, and we'll get to that. I keep saying we'll get to that. I've been waiting for this episode for months. I'm so excited.
I'm excited to break this down.
Giving a little bit of background to my character, he is a tiefling. He has a semi-tragic background. He was the son or one of the children of a nomadic cult who were known for sacrificing children to a demon lord.
Wow, I didn't know this, but I'm glad I do now.
I feel his backstory is so pretentious, too. Like, ours are just like, oh, they're people. And then his is like, oh, I'm important. The gods love me. There's a genie here for some reason.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and jump into at least you two have played D&D before, and you kind of get that out of your system after the first. Because my first character was cringy. And I'm sure your first character was probably cringy.
Well,
and yours
no,
probably
not
was
really.
too.
Mine was like pre-built by our DM.
Oh, so it couldn't have been cringy.
I didn't even get a cringy phase for D&D.
Man, I feel bad for you. Whenever it comes out, I'll let it pass. Okay.
So thank you.
I basically wrote like a 2 or 3 page story describing this guy. Again,
I edited it. It was long. He wrote a
Without going
novelette.
into too much detail, my character makes a wish and a genie grants it, thus giving him storm powers. That's his backstory.
I thought the genie thing was a joke.
You thought it was no, it's real.
I thought it was.
I told you it's a pretentious backstory. Tell him your name. Tell him your dude's name.
I already said it. It's fate.
Yeah, but how did he get it? He decided to name himself that because he thought he was important?
That's actually a tiefling thing.
I know, but
canon,
it's stupid.
I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just
He
saying,
doesn't
like, I
think
see
he's
where it
important.
came
He
from.
named himself that because he changed his own fate.
Oh, my
That's
God.
worse. That's what?
Okay.
Karen's gonna die. She didn't know any of this.
She can't breathe right now.
Why did you do that?
Because the storm sorcerer gets his power from a being of elemental background. Genie just happened to be one that aligns with lightning.
You never had a friend like me.
Now I'm picturing Will Smith, and I wish I wasn't.
You ain't never had a friend like Faye.
Actually, I thought
I can't handle.
I feel bad because Chung is absolutely going to continue to get roasted for the first
You know
breakdown
what?
of the session.
I should have expected this.
The whole first campaign was just him screwing up.
And that's not all, folks.
All right.
But wait, there's more.
Yeah, so that's my character's backstory.
Okay, so we literally just had to take a break because Karen was laughing way too hard. But now I think we should get into the story itself. Someone else should speak.
So I'll go ahead and do the whole setup thing, and you guys can break down your reactions.
Yeah,
to
you
it.
kind of already gave us the setup.
Theocratic.
I just had a
cities-
stroke. Yeah, we're in the Archbishop's room. The door's locked. People are banging on it, and it appears that we have moited him.
Yeah, he's got arrows and singe marks on him, and every other thing that would suggest that people in this room did in fact murder him.
And we don't know each other.
And none of y'all know each other, and you all. The last thing that all of y'all remember was falling asleep at your various inns, not the same inn even. And then you come to on the floor. You also have his blood on your hands in a quite literal fashion.
Yeah.
And the guards are attempting, not trying to break down the door, but there's knocking, saying, my lord, Archbishop, are you there?"
Hey, room service.
Something's fishy, so that's where y'all kicked in.
I'm gonna have Karen start this one.
Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah.
I think
Because I think you're the one that got us moving at the beginning.
I think so. I think the first thing I did, because I'm a spaz in D&D, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna shove something in front of the door so no one comes in. I think that was the first thing I did.
I remember that. Yeah, you did use the chair.
And
Was it a chair or a sofa?
It was
Something substantial.
something that you sit on
Yes.
that also can go in front of a door.
You're right, I'm being pedantic.
Yeah.
I'll drop it.
Yeah. No, I believe that was like the first thing I did, and I was kind of like looking around the room like...
Did one of us chuck our arrows out the door?
No.
No?
That
I
was
feel like...
You guys checked out the chimney.
I think eventually we found the bookshelf as an exit.
Yeah, we just kind of investigated the room until we found something that was an alternate exit.
It didn't take us very long.
No.
I mean, bookshelf equals secret exit. I've seen Scooby-Doo a lot.
Hey. I figured I'd take it easy on you guys the first go around.
Bookshelf.
Yeah.
Although you did almost come up with a solution that surprised me, which was the chimney.
Yeah, I think...
Because I gifted everybody a magical item.
Yeah, I had that. I have
Grappling
that fancy grappling. Did you come up with that, or is that an actual item? I thought you came up with that. That's really cool.
You should tell them about it.
Yeah, so I have this. It's basically Batman's grapple gun, which is exactly what it is, but kind of steampunky looking, I imagine.
Yeah.
And it's got
fantasy
me.
steampunky.
It's helped me out a lot. I've used it a lot. But yeah, so we went into this secret area. And it was really dark. And two of us are humans, and one of us is
Tiefling.
And this is where I proceed to derail the whole campaign.
I mean, from this point on...
I am the newest guy here, and I just say, watch me mess this up.
Yeah, so he's leading us around because we don't have night vision. He has night vision. My character's being a little racist because he's a rich white human. So my character just keeps calling him Demon.
And of course,
and
my
doesn't
character
want to be there.
and
Who
my
would want to
char-
be there?
And my character's a tiefling, so of course they experience prejudice and subjugation on a regular basis. So he's not really having it. But one of my character traits is, and it's considered my flaw or my weakness, is that I have a hard time trusting allies. I'm more of a loner character. So at the end of this hallway, I can see that there's a doorway that might lead to an exit. But one, I don't know what's on the other side, and I really don't trust my two allies. So I lie. I say...
I feel like you didn't lie. I think you just didn't know how to play. I think you're covering your butt right now.
Yeah, well, okay. Also,
This guy went down the hall, left us to sit, saw a door, didn't check to see if it was locked or anything.
Now, when he perceptioned it, there was a magical seal on the door. And as a sorcerer, I let him check on Arcana, and all he knew was it was a seal. But he never touched the door or checked the handle.
And then he comes back, and my character immediately asks, "Did you find anything?" And you say,
no.
"No! He didn't. I didn't see nothing, boss." And of course we can't metagame, so we're just giving him angry looks in real life. Like, tell us about the door.
So here's the thing. I have never roleplayed the way you're supposed to roleplay in D&D before. I'm used to playing games like Fallout or Skyrim where all of the roleplaying options are laid out before you. So I'm not used to free-thinking roleplaying. So, one, I don't know these guys. Two, my flaw is I don't trust people. And three,
you're not creative. We
Yeah,
get
I'm
it.
not creative.
Yeah.
I've gotten better.
You have gotten better.
He's gotten
So-
substantially better.
His
But-
backstory is pretty creative.
So I lie.
mean, you got to say that at least.
So already I'm derailing the thing by lying about this door.
Now, spoiler alert, the door was unlocked.
Yeah, you'll hear. We go into that room in the next podcast. The very next podcast is going to be another D&D one, and we're going to talk about what was in that room.
So where did we go after that?
There was a spiral
Yeah.
staircase right in front of where that door...
There was another door that was big. Remember this door?
We're not there yet. We're not
Yeah.
there
We gotta
yet.
go down a few flights of stairs
Yeah,
first.
But we didn't do anything between those,
No,
did
we
we?
didn't.
Yeah,
No.
so
So
we just
we-
went downstairs
But
and
you
then.
gotta give them a chronological order to the events
Yeah, I'm sure
that
they.
happened.
I'm sure they loved this 5-minute thing we're doing where we're talking about we went downstairs.
Yeah, but I thought it was kind of funny how like we were both like blind as bats going
That
down
is
these
true.
stairs. So we're like, great. We hope that we're not led astray again. 'Cause
By
we
this
had
demon.
Yeah, we had to have fate lead us down, but the whole time, like us as players are like, please don't run into something and not tell us about it.
Can't see, can't metagame, can't.
Yeah, so you're basically being led by the world's dumbest flashlight.
But we eventually.
And he's my character,
That's
I can
a-
talk about that.
I feel bad that you said that about yourself almost.
Jeez.
Like when I make fun of you, it's okay. When you make fun of yourself, it makes
No,
me sad.
okay. In hindsight, there was a lot I could have done better. But I wasn't the only one who made mistakes.
moving
And that
on.
comes to mistake number 2, which is not mine, but Oliver's.
It was almost not a mistake. It was almost overachieving.
Yeah.
It was like the opposite.
Let's be real. My mistake comes much later, but this was great.
Because we get to this bigger arcane door that is locked and sealed, and it's got magic torches on either end.
We do go down 7 flights of stairs into the substructure is where they've reached at this point,
Yeah.
by the way. And as they're trying to find their way out, they run across a giant door. Just the quick segue into how they got there.
Yeah.
I run an Arcana check, and it is, and just like the other smaller door, it is magically sealed, but this is like way more locked up than what I had seen previously. And I tell them that this time.
And then Oliver just goes She-Hulk on everything.
I
Lawyer by day, Hulk by night.
I even said it's magically sealed. Based on how hard it is sealed, we probably shouldn't open it right now. And
Oliver's like, screw magic.
Me smash!
So,
She proceeds to kick in a magically sealed door with, well, Oliver's a he, with his foot.
It's insane. You
Me
kicked
and Money
magic
Hammer.
until it broke. That's wild.
In character, me and Moneyhaver are just kind of with gaping
Nani?
mouths looking at each other like, what the heck?
well, it's because I rolled a nat 20, and
You
I
have to reward a nat 20.
And that 20 is just success.
And
you also ripped the whole sconce off the wall with
that
the
was
magic
later.
torch.
I thought.
I
No,
guess
no,
it
no,
was
no, no,
beforehand.
That was
Okay.
Because
So-
that's how
Because
we could
then
see
you
it.
had to dodge flames.
oh yes, Oliver.
So-
so tell us what was
I'm going to let
inside.
you tell. One of you needs to tell about this. He and I have spoken.
Tell us
about.
what was in the magically sealed
Okay,
door.
so we kicked in the door, and
No, you kicked in the door.
We gave no assistance. You are a boss. You carried us both like babies that entire first day.
well, you know, whatever. Anyway, so
Gucci gang.
I kicked in the door, and you know, just walking in, I'm cool with whatever. I'm happy.
Chilling out, Maxon.
there is-
Relaxing all cool.
Yeah.
Shooting some people outside of the school.
Couple guys.
The
How's it
opposite.
going?
we won't finish the
Okay,
podcast.
I'm done. I'm sorry. I'm done.
On the opposite wall, I mean, I'm looking in, and there is this massive clockwork dragon.
We're talking end boss levels of danger.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is actually 80 feet long, so could absolutely have squashed them with a toenail.
I'm a demon, and that scared me.
So we ended up. The thing started breathing fire, obviously, and we had to run down this like hallway. I'm pretty sure. And at the very end of the hallway is like a sewer, so we're all jumping in it.
Well,
Except
two
me.
of us were jumping in.
Yeah, I think I got singed, so I'm like, let me jump in the water. Come to find out, it's
It's poo.
It's poo. It's poo.
It's
and I
poo.
jumped in.
There's poo on you.
And
So
I'm,
ew.
And I'm a tiefling, so the flame doesn't hurt me as much, but I'm still not wanting to go toe-to-toe with the clockwork dragon, so I'm like, a river of poo is better than this.
And I
Yeah.
used fancy rogue skills to dodge it. The dragon couldn't get through the little door. So, well, it was a big door for us, a little door for the dragon. And then they're in the sewer like, come on, let's get out of here. And my character wants nothing to do with that sewer
Little
at
snob.
all. Because he's uppity rich guy. So I like take off all my gear and like hold it above my head and dip a toe. And I just like slowly get in, which everyone thought was
Hilarious.
fantastic.
And I'll say that as a GM, I love to reward good roleplay, and the way he broke that whole scene down and played his character was beautiful.
That's what I'm good at, is the role play.
You're fantastic at the roleplay, and what I like to do is I like to reward fate points. Not your
Hey!
points.
Not
Yeah, every time I think about that, when I think fate points, then I'm just like, bro, you gotta change the name.
I think I might have to, but this was a concept.
Because he's never gonna get one as the eye guy.
Hey, I'm right.
So this was a concept that Karen introduced to me. She was my first GM back in the day, and she used a concept called fate points, which was a way for the GM to reward their players
Yeah.
for good roleplay.
Yeah, there's
So-
like a similar energy concept in the Power Rangers Hyperforce RPG podcast.
Oh, interesting. So basically what it is, it's a free reroll on anything that happens is the fate point. He burns the fate point, and he can change...
Yeah, I still
what
have it. I
happens.
think I still have it.
You never used it since. Maybe in the alternate timeline you attempted to, but I
No,
don't
I
think
think
that
I
stage
forgot
right.
about it that day, because that's when we were all awful and shouldn't have played.
That's true. So if you hear about fate points again, that's why.
Yeah.
Excuse.
Ew.
So the sewer brings us out, and it's nighttime. And we're kind of we head to the atoll? Is that right?
So when y'all
Yeah.
finally go down the sewer, y'all come out and you're about 10 feet above the river that runs bisecting this city. Obviously, and this is at the most downriver point of the city. And as y'all got to it, I believe y'all heard bells chiming, and y'all got to watch the magical dome crop up from the walls and seal the entire city in. Again, as an attempt by the clerics to catch and prevent whoever murdered their archbishop from escaping the city.
Yeah, good move. It's like the Simpsons movie, right?
I haven't seen the Simpsons movie,
it
actually.
is.
It's really good. It's a good movie.
But so now the entire city has been sealed up. The water from the river is still flowing through this magical barrier, but nothing, solid can get out now.
Yeah.
And that's when y'all jumped in the river.
So we're in we smell like
Poo.
feces, and we're hiding like under this bridge, and the whole bridge is nothing but guards.
Because like I said at the beginning, the river bisects the city, and the slums are on one side, and the actual people with money and importance are on the other side. The bridges are used to keep the people in the slums who belong in the slums. You have to pay a pretty substantial toll to cross it, and there are guardhouses on there as a result. So they're hiding under one of these bridges.
Full of
And
guards.
then, I guess you could say, fate intervened.
Oh my
Oh, no.
god.
If
You've
you
been sitting on that for a month.
Because that's exactly what happened. I messed
He
up
looked at his
again.
hand before he said that. Show us your hand. It's written on there, I bet.
So, yes. At this
Oh my
point,
God.
between my inability to know how to role play and read a situation, and also just no one's really taking leadership of the situation, we're all just kind of brainstorming.
Say what you want to say, Karen.
Go ahead,
No,
go
I'm
ahead.
gonna hold back. I can't.
Go
do it.
ahead.
I'll just.
Be mean.
I don't want to. You do it for me. You're better at it.
One of us needs a managerial positions, and then she'll be mean to us.
I thought I counted.
No, you're the husband. You don't count it.
Well, regardless of what was going on, I decided to try and make the bright idea of acting.
Make the bright idea.
I did establish that the streets were cleared, by the way. When the bells rang, that's martial law, effectively. So nobody was on the streets except for these people.
Except for the guards and
Yeah.
the bridge.
So
We're
I
controlling it.
I proceed to try and roleplay poorly by acting drunk, stumbling into the street right into a squad of city guards.
Under like a spotlight, mind you, like medieval spotlight equivalent.
They all had torches.
My
Yeah.
original plan was to look like a drunkard. Oh, I accidentally wandered out of the bar too late at night. Gotta find my way home, and then none the wiser. Too bad I made like an almost crit fail roll at trying to deceive the guards.
And so Karen and I were almost too good. We were almost too nice to you. We should have let you die right there and just played the rest of the game without you.
It might have gone better.
Like, because we tried to back him. He did it without our approval. We were like, no, let's stay here for a second, work out a plan, and then, nope. No, he just jumps up there. He's like, oh, look at me. I'm a little drunk boy. And dancing around.
I didn't.
I'm a little tipsy boy.
But to our credit, we did go up and like try to act like, oh, let's
we were
support
like,
him and get him out
oh,
of.
there you are. We were looking for you.
Trying
You
to
drunk
hide him.
Person, you.
And then the guards were like, you're all under arrest because we're actual normal people and we're not stupid.
And so I was like, oops, the jig is up.
Hello, Raggy.
Raggy.
Oh, what gave it away?
And so Oliver and I are running off in one direction, and he's like, I'm going to split. Like the whole day he was trying to split himself up from the group for some reason. So he runs the opposite direction. And then I'm like, I cast fog to cover up where we're going. And then you saw the fog and were like, oh, that's a good idea. And you turn heel and run back towards us, you little coward.
Hey, you're one to talk.
And I tell
We'll
you
get
what,
to that.
at this point, I had everybody
True.
roll stealth at that point, and Karen passed by a hair. Fate obviously failed his stealth roll like in epic fashion.
I had
But
rogue stuff.
Gaddock McMoneyhaver here rolled like a nat 19, and I decided to let it cover. But you absolutely saved that entire encounter.
Yeah, it was about to be over. Everything was done.
It was going to be a one and done kind of game.
10 minutes in, dead.
Would you like to try again?
Whole bridge full of guards, beginning of the campaign. No thanks. It wouldn't have worked.
Oh, so who can I continue or?
I think Karen should go because I think her character is the one that took the lead after that.
Yeah, after this, I think we, made our way into the slummy area between as many buildings.
I'd like to think that it's like a shanty town.
Very much like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
You were by the harbor.
putting as much distance between us and the guards as humanly possible, and I went
Well,
up.
that's a little racist to tieflings, I think.
I don't care.
He's like, I don't care. I'm just being a jerk.
Anyways,
Okay?
so go up to a random person's house and using my full hero, what is it called?
The background
Feat?
Ability.
No, it's
Yeah.
your folk hero background.
The full hero background ability where you can use your name to kind of get...
Your name carries some weight. You've got some clout that you carry around in your
Yeah.
back pocket.
You could
Basically.
occasionally grease the wheels with the peasants.
Exactly. So, I'm knocking on the door and I'm like, hey, it's Oliver Gideon and something like that. I don't exactly remember, but they ended up opening up the door for us, so we crashed with them.
They gave us clean clothes.
Yeah.
They didn't fit us, but they gave us clean clothes.
But it was like a little family, just,
They didn't really
typical.
want anything to do with us.
No,
they
of
just
course
had
not.
they just had mild respect for you. So
And they tolerated you and me.
yeah, I didn't really say anything to them because I don't like peasants.
And of
Your
course,
character was catatonic from having had to walk through
Yeah,
poo.
he was still upset. Like,
You were
even when
about
we
as
changed
upset
clothes, we
as a
still
wet cat.
smelled. Of course, smelling like that and having clothes that didn't fit really did make us look like peasants, though.
I mean, yeah, and I think, did we even mention how tieflings and anything demon-esque wasn't really accepted in this
Oh,
city?
yeah.
No. Okay, so tieflings in general high fantasy are not well accepted by anybody because of their association with demons. This city is actually okay enough. They'll let tieflings in, but everybody still cuts looks at you and is waiting for you to try something shady.
Yeah, there's very few. They're only allowed in the slums, basically.
Basically.
So, we were, not exactly what they wanted to see. But, I mean,
by as soon as day broke,
we were gone.
we were out of there.
Now, is this where we break off into the alternate timeline?
Yes.
yes.
Yeah, I believe so.
So context of that is we played the first session one night, and we went ahead and decided that we would continue in a second session the very next day.
Bad idea. 'Cause
Terrible
we stayed up
idea.
till
2
1
in the
a.m.
morning.
just hanging out. Because we played D&D, and then we got in a hot tub, and then we cooked and ate bloomin' onions, and then we watched
Dragon Ball Z.
we watched
Dragon Ball Super.
We watched a little Toonami, which only comes on really late. So we were up till 1 a.m.
I think it was 2 before y'all finally
Yeah.
left.
And then
Yeah, and it was 3 o'clock by the time I got home because I live
He's
out
gonna
of town.
drive, yeah.
we were like, let's do it again tomorrow, first thing in the morning.
Yeah, it was
Run.
early.
That was about as good of an idea as Hanna-Barbera creating Scrappy Doo as a character.
Yeah, Big Boy Chungus.
Oh, we don't talk-
Sitting on that for this.
No,
Check his hand
He
again.
wrote a bunch of one-liners for this
That was
podcast.
just off the top of my head.
That was actually a really good one-liner because Scrappy Doo is an absolute stain on society.
at him.
That's about what my character is.
I'll suck him.
So, just to let you know how bad we were all feeling, I walked out of my place when Big Boy Chungus got to my house because we ride here together, and I fell down the stairs immediately because
I was
my head hurt
genuinely
so bad.
concerned for your
he
health.
caught me. He was like, "Are you okay to drive?" And I was like, "Yeah." No.
One eye was bigger than the
lies.
other, bloodshot and puffy.
Yeah, the left half of my body was paralyzed.
Oh, so that was what, the 6th stroke you
I
had?
had yet another stroke. Yes.
Yeah, but I think
But none of us that day were good on our
think
game.
we had a
even
lot going
even the
on,
DM. yeah.
No, I tell you what, GMing is actually a special kind of stress, especially
Yeah.
the prep work that goes in behind it, because to every 4 hours of D&D that gets played, there's probably about 8 or 12 hours of prep time of creating characters, writing story, and everything else. So I was cramming things together on the fly for session number 2, and it just did not work well.
Yeah, we just should have skipped it.
We should have.
But
That was my mistake.
It was really, really funny.
Just because it was so bad.
Just because we all sucked. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so the beginning of session 2, we're kind of out and about. The marketplace is bustling. We're hustling.
And
Don't give
soon,
me that love.
and soon we're going to be tussling.
Yeah,
Oh my god.
true.
Well done, sir.
Yeah, he's been rhyming a lot to keep up with me. So,
I will
Practicing
surpass
his
you one
freestyle.
You
day.
want me to take over from here?
yeah, you go ahead. Go ahead. Sure.
Okay, so we have decided we have to make our way into the clergy area where we have to pay a toll to get across the bridge and stuff, because we're like, hey, we should probably find out how to get this dome down or something.
Yeah,
I don't know.
that was
so,
our plan, was to get the dome down and escape.
We-
Our plan at that time was escape.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And we kind
and I clued them in that because they were like, okay, you're the mage here. What the heck's going on? I said, okay, here's all I know. It's a magical barrier. It's got to be a fixed point of origin that's shooting this thing into the sky. We find it, shut it down, we go home.
Yeah. So I think we gathered up as much stuff as we could that was on us to sell so we could get some money to make our way in. And then I think Gaddick didn't give us like any of his stuff to help make our way into the
Yeah,
other place.
I was a little stingy. I sold one little. I sold my perfume.
For the record, by the way, as we were coming out of the sewer and crossing the river, we lost a ton of our original.
No, that was at the very beginning.
So when you guys woke up, you only had your adventuring equipment. You guys,
But we lost most of that as well when we tried.
you didn't lose anything when you went in the river.
I thought we lost a bunch of
No,
stuff.
I
You
think
didn't
we
lose
took
anything.
it from you and sold it
We
so
lost,
we could have
yeah.
money.
I mean, I
Well,
think
there
you might have
wasn't
lost a
much.
little respect over the course of the whole campaign.
That goes without saying.
To be fair, you lost some of your self-esteem as well crawling through poo.
Every day is just awful for me.
Okay, I didn't mean to derail that. I
But
thought
no,
we lost more than
Well,
we did.
when y'all woke up in the Archbishop's study, y'all had nothing but your adventuring gear, which meant weapons, climbing gear, actual equipment, not
Yeah.
money and things like that.
That's what I'm
because nobody would
referring
take
to.
that to an assassination attempt, realistically.
So,
Yeet.
so anyway, we're trying our best to pawn what little we have to gain entrance into the wealthier district.
Yeah, and I had these robes that I changed into. That really helped out.
As part of your noble background, you
Yeah.
come with like rich clothing. is
Yeah, I
the
had fancy
description.
little pajamas.
And I think we threw a tarp over Fate, so
Oh yeah! I forgot we did that. Okay, so the guards, they posted a bunch of wanted
posters.
posters for a tiefling, and
Because they saw a tiefling crawl out of the river the night the Archbishop was murdered.
and they were all like drawn as caricatures. I remember, like really racist depictions of a tiefling.
like ours were stick figures essentially.
Yeah, they were just like they had no details. They're just like humanoid. That's it.
We were looking for 2 people. Anything else? No, just 2 people. And then a demon half-breed.
That filthy scum.
That's actually closer to
So we put him in an alleyway and hid him under a tarp for like a full day. He just laid under a tarp.
A couple hours.
Because we didn't
Right.
want to bring any,
Yeah,
bad
tieflings
juju
just
to
in
the-
general were being rounded up.
And based
Yeah.
on how well last session went, I just didn't want to draw any more hate towards myself. I'm like, okay, I'm just going to be quiet and be a good little tiefling now.
And then the guards kind of were starting to catch on to me at one point. Okay, so I duck into a bar and I tell all the patrons who are around because no one can work.
Did you say patrons? It's patrons.
patrons?
What type of Pokemon is that?
That's because I. That took me a second to register. So I tell all these people who are in there because all there is to do is drink. Prices have gone up. No one, and like the docks are cut off, so no one can go to work. And I'm like, hey, those guards out there caught the guy that did it. And so everyone runs out. It's the
They're
guards.
like,
I
you
slip
what,
away.
mate?
Yeah.
Let's go get him.
That's exactly what I imagined. Yeah.
The Archbishop was really popular, and now the harbor is cut off, so most people in the slums don't have a job at the moment, so they're kind of pissy. Is that acceptable?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think
cool.
that's fine.
Right.
No one
I'm
cares.
flirting on the line.
Yeah.
So after that, we all reconvened because we did the thing of splitting the party, which you don't do, and we were like, let's reconvene at Tarp Demon. Which,
That needs to be the next merch.
Tarp Demon.
Tarp Demon.
Needs to be a
Just the shirt
tiefling
that says
hiding underneath a tarp.
Tarp
Yes.
Demon. Yeah, I was looking up. Commission that is up.
because we left Fate under a tarp because we didn't want him to get seen no more.
We didn't want him to get saint no more.
Daddy, there's a top demon under my pillow.
Oh God, no, please.
But so we're reconvening, but at the same time, the streets start clearing out because the guards are out looking for who murdered the archbishop.
And in addition to the guards, there's a giant, like, centurion thing walking around, which is an automaton that is 12 feet tall, made of nothing but steel and gears and wires and stuff. It has a giant shield on its arm and a sword and a spear. So it's a bad mamma jamma.
Suddenly, the tarp demons everywhere are ducking under their tarps.
And
Tarp demon don't want none of that.
Fate
I love
runs
tarp
the
demon, though.
Arcana check. Yes.
Yeah, and once we kind of all eventually get together, he tells us that a mage can see us through the thing, like G Gundam Pacific Rim type thing. It's like, just romping around like Avatar.
Romping
But, like,
around at the
entertaining.
speed of sound.
Yeah, no, right. The centurion is piloted remotely by a sorcerer or wizard. So they can see through the eyes of the centurion, but
Yeah.
they're not physically present on it.
And Fate and I roll what we need to like hide, but
Yeah.
would you like to say what happened to you?
So I think I rolled a 2 on blending in with the crowd. So I'm like, well,
There was no crowd. That's why it didn't
Yeah,
work. Because you
exactly.
were the
You
only
were
person
just
on
trying
the
to
street.
casually duck into the alleyway.
yeah. So
Chilling
I
out,
just
maxing,
Yeah.
relaxing, all cool.
We're not doing this.
Shoot some people outside of the school.
So anyway,
A couple of automatons up to no good.
Started
making
break in
trouble.
the neighborhood.
My
Yeah, we're getting
tarp
the break in
demon
the
took one
neighborhood.
look and said,
Now he's in on it. We're sorry, Karen. They don't like it when I Fresh Prince.
I love the Fresh Prince.
I love it, but we're doing podcasting.
We're podcasting.
So I just turned my back to the street and I'm like, I'll just blend in. It's fine. I'll just die here.
Yeah, that's kind of your character's flaw, is that they're kind of overconfident a little bit.
I am not overconfident.
You're a little... Just the fact that you tried to kick down the magical door shows that
Well,
you're
when I'm
overconfident.
paired with you and
See,
Faith.
Oh, I'm not that
See, I'm going to go ahead and say that that's less an Oliver trait and more of a Karen trait.
Hey!
That's fair.
Karen is my wife, and I can absolutely say that.
So
She hits me.
anyways,
You deserve it.
Centurion stops and is like, hey, what you doing there?
Citizen,
it's
you
like,
are
dead
under
or alive,
arrest.
you're coming with me.
Yeah, so
I am the law.
I'd buy that for $1.
All the
Had to get
references are
those
done.
RoboCop rep. Yeah, we had those references we wanted to make, and now they're done.
RoboCop and Dredd are done.
So anyways, I took the scout martial archetype for fighter, which is, it's part of the extended something, a special whatever. Because,
So insecure. I'm sorry. One of us is sitting here holding a real sword because they're insecure. I'm just.
are you good now?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
So, I'm like, okay, I got my scout archetype thing. I jump up on top of the shanty buildings to try to, make some distance. I'm like, the thing can't climb up here.
In theory, a great idea.
Right, because the scout ignores rough terrain and can run at full speed over anything.
meanwhile, the automaton is like, beep, boop, get out the way.
Yeah, he's taller than the little shanty houses, and he just smashes through them. He's just running straight through them like
Terminators his way through it.
Oh, it's
Cease and desist.
so like every time you jump off a rooftop, that rooftop collapses.
Stop in the name of the law.
So I'm trying to put some distance between me and the automaton.
And realistically, you could have outrun the automaton.
But I figured, let me fight them because I thought my team would back me up. Little did I know.
That didn't happen.
For the record, I tried.
Yeah.
Didn't succeed, but
That's
I
because
tried.
you're dumb.
Well, is this the part they cut out where you had another plan, which involved...
Okay, so my plan involved staying hidden because we had this big plan where it was like, hey, I dress as my noble self and we're coming out of the slums and we pay the way out. I pass you two slum-looking people off as my bodyguards that I went into the slum to hire, which is my cover story for a noble being in the slums. I went in there to hire bodyguards to protect me from someone who might have
Murdered an archbishop.
done some murdering because I'm noble and I
knows?
feel like I'm important. And I thought that was a really good cover story.
Which it
It
was.
was, yeah.
Yeah. But it didn't work out.
The moment that they realized that a sorcerer could see through the Centurion's eyes...
I'm like hiding because I don't want it to see me because I want my plan to work.
Exactly.
But you also wanted us to die in the process.
Yeah, they're
apparently.
fighting the thing, and I'm just like, nah.
So yeah,
And I'm trying to change my clothes, and there was kind of a misunderstanding between me and the dungeon master.
That was a failure on my part, and
Yeah.
I'm going to chalk that up to me being tired.
We were all way too tired. We shouldn't have played at all.
Which-
But it gave us the best meme. So.
It also didn't help that we were trying to Dragon Ball this automaton where Oliver fought it until he was incapacitated.
Yes.
Then Fate fought it until he was incapacitated.
Luckily, Goku showed up later. That's me.
Yeah.
And,
Okay.
Yeah, but you didn't
Yamcha.
sensu being the enemy.
Yamcha.
Before we
Here you go, Cell. Kill my son, please.
so before we
I'll erase him anyways. It'll upset Piccolo more than me.
I'll be dead. Chi-Chi doesn't matter.
Before we get to the end of the fight, let me explain how my character tries to fight this thing. So, Oliver is jumping across rooftops, trying to get in as many punches as he can. My character, with the automaton facing away from me, like Oliver and I have this thing sandwiched. The automaton's attention is on him, and I shoot it in the back with a level 3 lightning bolt spell, which is a 100-foot AoE lightning spell.
Which he didn't know.
Which I didn't realize at the time, and I
I
proceeded...
made my character by myself.
We live in a society.
Shut up.
And so I proceed to set the whole 100 feet between me and Oliver and this automaton on fire, as well as crackling with electricity.
Because I did take the time to reinforce that this alley was littered with detritus and debris and was basically a giant Kindle box waiting to go up.
Yeah, we knew it was a problem before. Well, two of us did.
The two with brains.
So at this time, Oliver is now knocked out due to the automaton, and its attention is now on me, the spellcaster. So I proceed to throw little cantrips at it until it becomes right on top of me, which I then proceed to pull another Dragon Ball move. Boom! Yes, called Thunder Step, which is where I teleport to a space within 100 feet that I can see. When I teleport, I then leave a 30-foot circular radius of thunder damage. So I basically blow up this whole city block.
Because we're in an alleyway. Alleyway shanty town.
So I'm at this point, I'm a walking...
Just the wind from that probably knocked some houses over.
I'm
is the
a...
thing.
If you fart the wrong direction,
Like these things
were going
are held
over.
together by like string.
So,
Literally.
So at this point...
The medieval equivalent of duct tape
Yeah.
houses.
In my head,
Yeah.
I'm thinking I'm this massive thunder god who's like fighting this atomic titan.
And in reality,
You're
you're a
like,
menace to the neighbor.
Me blow up!
You were actually Hulk if Hulk had like Doctor Strange's powers.
He's World
Yeah.
Breaker Hulk.
Yeah. So eventually I wind up running out of spells, and this automaton, because I'm a tiny little sorcerer, just beams me against a brick wall.
Yeah, my favorite part was how jumping on the rooftops failed for Karen, and then you were like, I'm immediately gonna try the same thing.
Because he's a Tempest sorcerer, and when he casts a spell, you can jump 10 feet in the air.
Yeah, it's
Is it
a
free
bonus
flying?
action.
Yeah.
So I can...
But you already knew exactly what was gonna happen.
So-
I was desperate.
So the
So you
Centurion-
jump up there, and then it knocks the thing down, and you're unconscious. You're both unconscious, and then I just sneak up behind the fool and knock him out. It's like, tap, falls apart,
Twirling
it's
your
over.
little mustache, going...
Yeah, because it had 100 hit points. You guys did 94 to it, and then I just
He shot it with a short bow.
shoot it in the spine with a tiny little arrow, and it just falls to trash.
He comes to wake up my character.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, hey, Oliver, get up. By the way, I had this epic duel with the automaton fun.
I beat
was
it by
great."
myself.
I soloed this thing like it was no big deal.
I would be upset if I wasn't unconscious and bleeding to death.
Yeah, he didn't even know what was happening because he's out.
So after this fight, I medicine check Fate into consciousness. We run off, and this is when the most epic meme comes to light.
The best meme ever. It's an inside meme, but it's
So-
still beautiful.
We're going to let you inside, you viewers. We
Yeah.
love you so much. We're going to let you in on this meme.
Yeah, it's so
So-
great. We mentioned it in every single episode of the show.
Exactly. So Gaddick is like, oh, Oliver, do that folk hero thing you do. And Fate was like, no, guys, I got this one.
Because
he's-
my
yeah.
character is also a folk hero, but clearly not as well thought through. He's a mishmash of horrible, horrible things.
The most horrible thing being his player.
Oh! Ouch!
Dab on you, dab on you.
In hindsight, you're not wrong.
In hindsight, I'm garbage.
So tell us what you did,
I
Fate.
proclaim that I'm going to knock on the door, and I'm going to use my folk hero ability. I walk up to the door. Don't even bother knocking. I instinctively put my hands on my hips, and
Superman
I say,
style.
the one called Fate knocks at your door.
And of course, this is the dumbest thing anyone's ever said in the history of ever. No one's ever talked like that.
My teammates, the people in the house that we're trying to get into, and everyone who survived the shockwave that I just created from earlier is simultaneously face-palming themselves.
Yeah, I turn to him and I go, buddy, I'm telling you this as your friend and as a character, like real life and RPG. What the heck are you doing? So like me and my character say that at the same time. And I just like push him to the side and use my rogue stuff to get in because you don't even have to pick the lock. It's just like a shanty door.
Needless to say, the family didn't want us to come in.
But they were there anyways.
They tried
It
to
was
slam
a
the door.
hostage situation. It absolutely was a hostage
Well, that's
situation.
what you get when you try to slam the door in Fate's face.
Yeah.
Oh my
well,
god.
by the way, if you would like to buy the one called Fate Knocks on Your Door t-shirts, they are available on our eBay store. You can find that through Anchor or just check out the description.
They are glorious.
Yeah.
So
Several colors.
that whole session ends there. We hunker down and then we spend the night.
Oh no,
That wasn't the end of the
story.
that wasn't the end of the story because y'all actually made it to the next morning where y'all went out looking out at what happened and there were more wanted posters.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, these wanted
Tell us.
posters had very crude images of Karen and mine's characters on
And
them.
very detailed images of the one called Fate.
It
And
went
the
from-
best part was on the bottom. Wanted for the killing of the Archbishop and the murder of one child. Because this guy blew up a city block and, hey, maybe there were people in there.
I didn't think.
Maybe there were people inside buildings.
not
this
all-
isn't Superman the animated series, dude. There's people in the
No,
building.
this is just Superman the live action with Henry Cavill.
Yeah, this is Man of Steel, man.
And to be fair, you not only did you blow up an absolute 30-foot radius circle, so 90 foot across.
Had this been an open field where there were no civilians, this would have been an epic battle.
Oh yeah, except for the fact that you lit an entire slumlord area on fire with a lightning bolt and then decimated a different portion of it.
Well, to be fair, my character is chaotic good, so
No. Chaotic does not cancel out good.
Hey, I beat the bad guy. You blew up a city block. What can I say except you're welcome?
Okay, we are gonna have a whole
Dwayne The Rock
podcast
Johnson's gonna
about
sue
what
you for
chaotic
that
good
one.
means.
Yeah, we...
Maybe we should start that off in a basic alignments for new players episode.
I would love for you two to host a new players D&D episode.
I would love to do that.
We definitely need to do that next time we hang out. But I think we're wrapping this one up now. Is that
Yes.
about where we stopped?
That is
Yeah.
where we stopped.
Yeah.
And the whole second session ended up being reduxed because none of us were fit to play.
And we
Yeah.
have a merciful GM.
So the next podcast, we're about to play session 4 right now, and the next podcast will be sessions 3 and 4, and then each D&D story recap podcast after that will be done immediately after playing.
So to say, episode 3 and 4 happen immediately after session 1.
Yeah.
The second session where Fate knocks at their door has been removed entirely from the canon. That is a separate timeline.
That's a
pulled
what
a,
if Elseworlds thing.
Yes.
We pulled a Doctor Strange time stone situation.
Yes. So session 3 actually picked up immediately after they hid safely in that family's home thanks to Oliver Gideon.
There's actually, this is kind of a preview for that one. There's a point in session 3 where he uses his lightning bolt blast, and my character gets a quantum deja vu.
20s on your perception check will do that.
Yeah.
Sense of disturbance
But
in the
that's a
force.
story for next
For
time.
another time, join us. Well, we're gonna roll for initiative, so you get to talk first. Thing we do here. I crit failed. Which means I have to leave the podcast permanently.
You can't
Yes.
talk. I got
That makes it better. I got a 7.
6.
10.
Oh, so,
All right, so
Karen, you can either go first and start the story, or you can yield your time.
Well, I feel like our GM should kind of keep doing the thing where he sets the sets the
Okay,
scene.
you yield your time then.
All right, so we'll go ahead and set the pace. The last time that we talked, we broke down basically session 2, which we kind of removed from the canon as a separate timeline because nobody was prepared to play a second session. So
yeah.
Third session, we picked up at the end of first session, effectively. So at the end of first session, everybody had successfully survived escaping the Archbishop's study. They'd made it across the river. They'd made it into the slums. And thanks to Oliver Gideon's folk hero backstory, they'd made it into a home to take a long rest, recover their HP, and recover their spells. Then they hit the wide, bigger world. And at that point, I feel like I should hand it over to somebody else who was playing.
Yeah, so basically that next morning we go out.
I thought you weren't talking. Because of that.
Hey, you crit failed. This is my podcast. Yeah.
You crit failed.
I'm saying what you guys are dumb.
Yes,
Everyone's
we are.
dumb except for me.
Sean, would you like to comment?
Right. So
Just stole it from me.
Yoink.
It's fine. Go ahead, man.
a few months have actually passed since we played this game, and my ability to role play and see what's going on in the game had improved
Drastically.
Yeah, he's been studying
And
D&D
I
nonstop.
I actually wanted to hear from you guys because me saying anything at this point is me just tooting my own horn.
Honk honk.
Yeah. So what would you guys say is the biggest change that my character had just initially right off?
Well,
the
he's
bat?
still
Basic
dumb, but
thought
he's less
processing.
Dumb. Yeah, it's like the ability for neurons to fire in his brain is new.
All right.
You're dumb.
But I'm funny.
You're funny. You're really funny.
Sometimes.
Funny to make fun of.
Just don't try to be funny, and then you'll be like Dan Cook, or I don't know, comedian names.
So yeah.
Honestly, the best change you made was forethought. And that sounds
Yes.
insulting,
No, it's
and I don't
not.
mean it to be,
It's
which
not.
it's more intended as this is the consequences of my actions, and this is how it will affect my party, so what do I do to not screw my party?
It's just that he was used to RPGs with pre-made selections, like Fallout.
And single-player campaigns,
Yeah.
not multiplayer campaigns, where somebody else has to play off of your selection.
Yeah, he just had to learn how to role play in this specific way. Is all.
It's a gear shift.
Yeah.
I also got a little bit more creative. I was starting to think with, okay, here's my spells and abilities. These aren't just for dealing damage and fighting enemies. I could use these for my environment. I can use these with my players. I can use this with the other NPCs.
Yeah,
And that's
you
a very important
Yeah, you had a
change.
good moment when we tried to get back because we decided to go back into the sewer to head back into the
Spoiler alert.
So
It's not a spoiler alert. That's the next thing we did.
Well, do you
Yeah.
want to break down the next phase of operations, then we'll get to that?
Yeah, so we had like a little planning period, and then Karen's character Oliver, who is a boy toy. He's single, ladies.
Gay?
Yeah, that's gay that you're playing as a boy. And so he was like, let's just go back in the tunnel. And my character was not for that. He was very upset. If you listen to the last podcast, he's like this noble dude, and he does not like to be dirty.
Again, that was a great moment of role playing. I
Yeah.
have to say, you really do lean into that in a very good way.
I stink when I'm trying to be creative during combat, but just being like creative, the social situations, I do really well.
Accurate.
Yeah, I know my shortcomings.
my character was concurring with Oliver, saying something to the effect that, well, no one wants us here. Like, we're still going to stick all these sore thumbs. At least if we go back to the sewers, we've got some cover and can hide.
So we basically like ride the river back to the atoll. I used my grappling hook to get up there. I think you just were buff. And then, but yeah, I think Oliver was just buff. But what I was getting to was something clever you did, because you just used like a little spell to change your eye color, and then that allows you to do this big leap thing.
Yeah, so my character as a storm sorcerer, I wasn't going to try and climb up at first, because my character sucks at strength.
weak.
You have
Yeah.
a 9 in strength, which is a
Yeah.
-1 modifier.
Yeah,
which
so
sucks
I wasn't
butt.
going to try and do that, because if I failed this, then there's a chance I might draw attention to us. Didn't want that. So what I did is I got a little creative. I have this ability called Tempestuous Magic, where before or after I cast a spell as a bonus action, I can jump 10 feet in the air, which is exactly how high this thing was, and I would just do that to get in. So I cast a cantrip called Thaumaturgy, which
Thaumaturgy.
Yeah, sorry. It's a very simple cantrip. You can make it do as little or as much as you want in terms of affecting the environment. So I just used it to change my eye color, and then magical winds quietly lifted me in the air.
What color were the eyes?
Blue.
I thought that
I did.
Brilliant. The exact opposite of any kind of actual tiefling.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it wears off after a minute, so. But I did that, and the only downside was I failed a Constitution check, and I wound up hitting my head on the way in.
Oh,
But
yeah, I
still
remember
succeeded.
that. That was funny.
You took about, what, 3 damage?
No, I got a concussion, though.
Yeah, I remember the
Oh, wait.
yeah.
You got a concussion, but you didn't take any damage, so it doesn't really matter.
Well, I had, like, disadvantages on any kind of saving
Yeah.
throws for, like, the next 5 minutes.
Well, to be fair, crawling up the sewers took 2 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was going against the flow.
Yeah, my night vision was slightly jarred a little bit.
There was
I think
one
it was
point
just being
later where
addicted
he was
at
talking
that
about
point.
using
Yeah.
like flames in there, and we were like,
I remember you were really
don't.
upset because you didn't understand what was going on.
yeah, we
Like,
didn't. Karen and I didn't understand your jump because we were like, how did he jump if he's treading water? And then you guys had to explain the magical properties.
Yeah,
of it
so
to us.
I don't actually jump. It's magical winds force my body upward.
Yes, but the way you explained it, we were like, wait a second.
The word
he
jump
says-
is in the description, so
No.
it was confusing.
Yeah, no, it's literally just a flight, effectively.
Yeah.
For a
Yeah.
one turn, you get 10 feet of flight.
It was kind of funny. The way
And then you
Chungus
immediately fall
described
down
it.
when you hit
It's
that
kind of like
10
when
foot limit.
Jotaro fought Dio and their spiritual pressure was making them float.
But it was me, Dio!
Oh my gosh.
So
Karen does not like JoJo.
we
It's,
so we all successfully
So,
make it up and
In
I-
various ways, I should
Yes.
say, because some people swam, and some people used illusion, and some people used a wisdom check to stealth through the crowd and find when the guards were, doing their rounds.
Yeah, we all made sure to be separate because they were looking for a group of 3, etc., etc. We were just being very smart, but we were even smart about the way we swam because we didn't want to get stuck against like the wall of the dome and etc., etc.
Somebody was a good example of what not to do in previous sessions.
yeah.
Yeah, we really have been these sessions 3 and 4. We almost overthought things sometimes.
But
Which is not
kind
the...
of- Yeah.
Better than underthinking.
as we've seen in
Let the
alternative
record show I
timelines.
immediately stared at Big Boy Chungus.
Let's be real. If you think about like Fallout, like the game, and you have like you can be rude or you can be super schmoozy, whatever.
And it doesn't
but
have much of a reaction.
It
from anybody.
doesn't. But in D&D, you can literally kill yourself if you're just not smart. It's not like you're playing a game. It's fine. You're
you
gonna
call
survive.
you called the troll a fat heifer.
Yeah,
your
you don't
consequences of action.
respawn, bud.
Yeah, you don't respawn.
My policy is that fear of death encourages a little bit of excitement and a little bit of tension. That makes everything more fun when you succeed.
Yeah, when
And
there's
when your
actual
health pool-
consequences for a character
Something
that
like-
you spent a lot of time making and really care about.
Does anybody here play Dark Souls? Because that's kind of my policy. Is Dark Souls is failing encourages like the enjoyment of success.
I prefer Sekiro, but I do enjoy the Dark Souls gameplay.
Dark Souls is absolutely the core of that franchise, and we will talk about that later.
Oh my god. You guys are nerds.
Yeah, sorry.
You watch live action Japanese stuff, so bite me.
Super Sentai.
Rhymes with hentai.
Yeah, we
So-
gotta move on.
They did succeed in their various formats, getting across the river and back into the sewers that they had evacuated
There and back
previously.
again.
Yeah, Mike was so mad.
Good reference, I like that, Chungus.
But I mean, like that's great about your character because he did care.
Yeah, he really did. He likes to be clean.
And there was some good RP associated with
Yeah.
that.
So we get there and have our first in canon
Combat.
fisticuffs.
Yeah, which was rather unique because only 2 of us really participated in it.
Yeah.
Kind of like the non-canon fisticuffs.
Y'all made fun of me for hanging back in the non-canon one, and then Karen here does the same thing I did.
So let's explain what led up to this.
Yeah,
So-
let's just start this.
I'll break it down, if you don't mind, just
Go
as
ahead.
GM. So, as they go back up the sewer, what they ran into was basically the exact same thing when they were escaping the cathedral, which meant that there was a 5 foot by 5 foot ledge into the water.
Dark.
So, it was absolutely pitch black. There's no ability to see unless you have dark vision. And suddenly, daggers and things start flying out of the darkness. And there was absolutely, to my mind, no indication of where it was coming from beyond It's coming from down the hall.
Yeah.
So Oliver just decides to take off down the hall.
Okay.
Okay, so Karen had a pretty valid reason.
Yes.
I will give you that. You had a valid reason, but I had a valid reason too. But it was all dumber than yours. But
So let's start with Karen's reason then for running.
Okay, so basically the orientation in which we got out of the sewer, I would have been, attacking the back of my allies' heads if I made any attack. Also, only one of us has dark vision, so I could not attack without hurting someone. So I figured if I went down the hall where the light was, maybe rip one of the sconces off and have it as light, or
Towards where the Clockwork Dragon had been previously.
yeah.
Which, for all we know, that door could have still been open.
But I didn't
Accurate.
want to attack the back of my allies' heads, and
So,
I wanted to see.
so reasons notwithstanding, that leaves my character, Fate, and Moneyhaver to fight this.
Gaddick McMoney,
The rogue and the
best character name
sorcerer.
ever written. Yeah.
By the way, the sorcerer is not doing so hot on health.
Ever.
Ever.
You have the weakest character, dude.
What's your HP, by the way?
Maximum is 20. At that time, I had 10.
Dude, my maximum's like 39. So, like, Oliver and I both have double your HP pretty much.
Literally
Yeah.
double the HP.
Which is a wonder why I keep getting put on the front lines in these situations.
You do it to yourself.
Now, I did actually ask everybody to roll luck. So whoever had the lowest D20, because nobody specified their positioning, I had to just
Yeah.
decide
all kinda just
arbitrarily.
Pulled ourselves up out of there
We
against
climb
the
out of the
current.
sewer.
Yeah.
So,
But this was actually, once the fight was underway, Moneyhaver's character, or Moneyhaver, actually had a genius stroke of
Yeah.
creativity with
Yeah,
his spell.
because
Brilliance, in
I
fact.
shot a ray of frost and it missed because I couldn't see anything. And then I was like, I shoot it at the ground and it froze the dude's feet and then he fell flat on his butt and we just pummeled the crap out of him.
Specifically, now that I could see where our thing was, I just start unleashing magic.
Yeah, he was a bloody mess. And Oliver's running back like, wait, I want to interrogate him. And then by the time Oliver gets back, it's done. The dude is like
And-
a charred
And let me
corpse.
tell you how brutal this was. First things first, I actually thought my character was going to have an alignment change from good to evil, because as soon as I saw the foot marks, like, I wanted to smirk. Because, like, there you are, you little turd.
It
And
was
then-
funny. Like, the way the DM described it was really funny.
So, honestly, when I was describing the situation, I did actually include that there was condensation over everything and it was like a wet environment. And so Hunt absolutely leaned into that when he said he cast Ray of Frost at the ground and froze the person in place. And I didn't have a reason that wouldn't be incredibly
Yeah.
effective.
You even read the specifics of the spell and were like, yeah, that works.
You absolutely froze this person in place. And so I had to specify that if somebody was standing in condensation, you'd absolutely be able to see where their feet prints were. I mean, you could see both their feet.
And then falling on their
the
butt was the
sorcerer
best.
had a standing target to unleash all of his wrath.
And
it was insane.
and
You
I launched-
rolled 30, 40 damage?
Yeah, I rolled lightning bolt, and the in-game...
You rolled the spell that killed children. But in the new standard version, you just killed an assassin.
Oh, yeah.
Well, no,
I mentioned this last time. He shot that lightning spell, and because I had rolled that, like, 20 perception or something.
Yeah,
or whatever.
you rolled a nat 20.
Yeah, and then my character had a sense of quantum deja vu from that last fight that's not canon anymore.
So,
That was really funny.
He suddenly felt like he was standing on a board and giants were standing around him rolling dice.
I hate that joke. You know I hate that joke.
And I
It's
love that
such a
joke.
dumb joke.
But it's accurate.
But that doesn't end there with the spell casting and the butt whooping, because I originally I wasn't going to try and kill the guy, but I was too close, and he winds up stabbing me. This rogue who's invisible stabs me in the gut, and with me being as low HP as I am, I freak out, and I have a counter spell as a tiefling called Hellish Rebuke, where when I take damage, I can point my finger at someone, and the target will take damage and burst into flames. So this rogue is now being set on fire underneath his armor and clothing. And he's just
I love
melted.
that spell.
There is actually a specification that it ignores armor class. So, like, his armor is completely intact, but he just got fried.
He was cooked from the inside out.
It's insane.
Which-
so violent.
And then he died.
That was actually the deciding factor of... I do have a policy of when you kill somebody, I ask how you kill them.
Yeah.
Which I think adds a little bit more fun.
And the only thing that was funnier than that, in my personal opinion, my character didn't think it was funny, but I did, was when Oliver tried chucking the body back in the sewer and then tried to
Oh yeah,
wrestle it
and
back out.
then we were like, "Stop! Don't do that! It's gonna go float outside, and everyone will
Before you
see
even
it."
said anything, I threw it in there, and then I'm like, wait a second. And
Yeah.
I pulled it back out, but I was like, oh no, if someone comes down here, they're gonna see a body. Gotta get rid of it.
I'm a GM who will absolutely punish stupidity because if
Yeah,
you
you
throw
do.
if you
Yes.
throw a body in a sewer, somebody's going to see it and think, "Oh, that's suspicious."
Yeah, because that floats right out into the main channel
Yeah.
where all the guards are.
Don't
Yes.
worry, I fixed it.
You
before-
fixed it.
Yes.
It was an okay reaction. Okay, so the next thing we did was go back kind of to the Fate informed us there was a door.
Yeah, guys,
Yeah, finally.
big surprise, I had a lapse in judgment.
Yeah, what a surprise.
And turns
never
out there's a door at the end of this hallway.
Well, the
And
one
we were
at
like,
the very-
excuse? He was like, why don't we go to that door? What
Didn't y'all fight
door?
the assassin along the way?
Yeah, well, the assassin was right when we got out of...
The assassin was before the door.
The assassin was before the door.
Yeah.
So y'all, yeah, that
We
was.
got out of the sewer, immediately fought the assassin right
Yes.
there on
Yeah.
the ledge of the sewer, because remember the body.
Yeah, no,
And
I
then-
just didn't think we had covered the death because you.
We
covered the death.
I
We-
cast
okay.
Hellish Rebuke.
Yeah.
He was cooked
Yeah.
from the inside out.
Okay.
Yeah,
She-
so we just took a little breather, so we had to get our grounds again. But yeah, I wanted to talk about that place, because that's like the first place we were supposed to go on day one. And
Yeah,
we
no,
just didn't do it.
The assassin was supposed to be like a basic intro to combat for
New players.
Chungus, and y'all just managed to avoid that and the first room of
Yeah, due to
like,
my
info.
complete derailment of the campaign.
So we're in the sewer. He's like, "Hey guys, by the way, there was this door," and we're like, "Well, I guess we're gonna go check out that door."
So they climbed 7 stairs or 7 flights of stairs and revisited the door from the first session, opened it up, and found some information.
Oh, tons of information. Tons.
Yeah.
I'm going to let the DM talk about that, because I don't remember it.
So
I do have some names. Aaron Birchwood took over for the bishop that was assassinated. The Pope, the dead Pope dude, Alexander. Setting Suns was kind of the zealot part or something.
Okay, so I'll go
Bishop
ahead.
Kraft Richter. Evil twin's name is Borden. I made that cheese joke earlier.
So I'll go ahead and recap because it has been about a month since we last played. It'd be a good recap. So very brief recap is that when they open the door, it is a room. It's a personal study for the Archbishop. It's got a bunch of records for money, and the Archbishop was actually embezzling funds from the church, and he was redirecting it to an organization that was trying to counter a zealotous group within the church. So while embezzling is never good, he was redirecting the funds towards trying to stop a zealotous, let's hang all the tieflings and elves in the city group.
Not cool.
No bueno on that one.
It is not cool, bruh.
And so his kind
Don't
of
laugh at me.
his active participant within that, the head of his subdivision, his name was Aaron Birchwood, who was kind of signing the papers for all the embezzlement and some other stuff. Again, very quickly recapping, Kraft Richter was another name that was not associated with any of the good stuff and was very much associated with the zealotous actions. Again, we're talking lynchings and kicking out the tieflings and all the other bad things that you could associate with the church. So the previous archbishop who has just been murdered was actually a pretty good dude. He's kind of a cool character. Y'all will learn more about him in future episodes.
He was
got
a pretty fly guy, and soon we'll know why.
Yep. So,
Proud of yourself.
Absolutely.
so the room kind of confirmed that despite some conversations y'all had otherwise, the archbishop was not a bad dude. despite the fact that y'all expected him to be an evil guy.
Yeah, we actually thought about making him out to be evil to clear our names for a little bit, but...
And my character, who absolutely hates authority and the church in general, was like, okay, I was wrong.
Again, that was actually a reason back in session 2 where I was like, yeah, the people love this archbishop, and they're really upset at his death because he was a cool dude.
Seems to be a universal love, pretty much, so...
So, he was actually trying to prevent some zealotous crap from within inside the church. He was a restraining figure on the church. So, that was kind of what y'all learned in that room.
Gucci gang.
So...
And then we... hid in the walls for a while. We literally went inside the walls of the church, like pressed flat. So, oh, did you hear a kitty? I heard a kitty. Yeah, but we were pressed flat in the walls, like we were all just eavesdropping, and I think we just heard arguments and blah, blah, blah.
It was essentially a world building episode.
Basically like confirmations of stuff that we'd already heard and some slight expansions, but you have all the information, so we don't have to explain all the combos we heard. That cat wanted love.
This is a sweet kitty.
Yeah.
We have a great cat.
Rate this podcast if you could hear the cat screaming. 5 stars, of course.
Obviously.
But,
so that was the end of session 3. Was a
Yeah.
lot of catch up from what we had missed in session 1 because of somebody.
Yeah, 3 was 1 combat and then a bunch of information.
So 4 has just ended.
Yeah, we just played 4. The cat just smacked me.
Reminding you who's boss.
So cute.
Let's stay focused.
Focused on a cat, maybe. But, I'm sorry. Cats are cute.
They are.
But, so in this one, they were like, hey, Mr. Rogue Man, why don't you go out and do some stuff? Because the assassin had this invisibility amulet on them. And I have that now. And I was using that to sneak around hallways, not that I needed it because they were completely empty.
My character originally did find the ring, but Fate, trying to use his neurons for once, said, you know what? I'm not a rogue. This ring of invisibility could be good for our rogue. Here, rogue, have ring.
Yeah, my
That's
respect
actually a
for...
pretty accurate breakdown.
Yeah, that's the thing that made my character kind of respect him more, and then he destroyed that later in this session. He
we'll talk about later.
He destroyed all the respect that my character had built for him. My character does have really high respect for Oliver, though, because of stuff.
Well, for the record, your character kept pushing buttons and pushing buttons and pushing
My
buttons.
character...
We'll justify that later.
It
Yeah.
was one word, just a slur, come on. Get over it!
Demon!
So, tarp demon.
Tarp demon you.
That's actually funnier than
Yeah, that's funny. No, dude. Okay, we'll get to it.
one thing at a time.
I'm just sneaking into everybody's offices, stealing stuff.
By himself.
Yeah.
Yeah, me and Oliver are
They're
just
waiting
hiding
for
in the
me.
wall.
We decided, you know what? Maybe let the stealthy one do the stealth thing, just in case someone shows
Yeah.
up.
And they said if you're in trouble, moan. And I was like, it'll sound like this. Ah! Just like a weird, really weird moan. So,
But there was some good planning about backup. Like, that was
Yeah.
actually not a poorly thought out plan.
we almost overthought this time,
Yeah,
which
Oliver
we'll
was
get to
gonna
later
use-
with the magic doors.
Oliver was going to use Fate as a battering ram.
Oh,
We didn't
no,
need.
We'll get to that too.
Yeah, so I sneak around. I steal 2 rings I steal 2 of the setting sun rings, and I find a letter of invitation for the setting sun. So I think I did pretty well. I just
Yeah.
looted offices and got all that stuff.
Yeah.
Have we described what the setting suns is? Like in
So, the church has a symbol that is a sun coming up above the horizon. You know, the Japanese rising sun, hoorah! But the zealotous, very angry side of the church is the setting sun.
Dun, dun, dun.
Ba-ba-ba. So that is kind of the internal cult that these people are dealing with right now.
Yeah.
Just very short story.
And the letter is like, hey, welcome, dude. And
just like that.
hey, what up, bro? Come to our rager.
Flash this ring at this wall and we'll
Yeah.
let you in, brah.
Here's the location of our secret base. Don't leave this in your desk. But they
didn't say
did. I wish that would have been on the letter. That would have been so funny.
You did roll like an 18 on your first perception check, so I
Yeah.
didn't have a reason not to throw that at you.
Yeah, so, like, I go to on the other side of the wall where they are, and I go, and then they bust out, tell them what you did, Ollie. Tell him.
Well, I didn't want to look for a door, so I said I kicked the wall and rolled a nat 20.
Again! Just like last time when you kicked down a magical seal, you roll another nat 20 for a kick.
So kicked in a 2-foot thick wall of concrete and rock.
And the way it was described is the hole was the shape of a foot, but like the size of a person, which was really funny. And the best part was that's the area where I exited, so there was actually a hidden switch where they could have just opened the wall and walked out.
Accurate.
Which was
so unnecessary,
that was
but
such a
so
fate
beautiful.
thing to do. And speaking of, someone had a bit of a line after that happened.
Yeah, that was me. As a character, so making a reference, I said, the one called Fate knocks at your door, but Oliver rings.
Can we get some shirts for that?
Yeah.
We need to find someone who can do, like, chibi artwork.
Yeah,
Oh my
we need
God.
if someone wants to do some cheap artwork, I'll do my best to pay for it. We're all poor. You know we're poor because we play tabletop games. You
And we do a podcast on it.
You can't have money and actively play tabletop games.
Unless you're Matt Mercer.
Yeah, seriously.
Then,
So they kick the crap out of a wall to reconvene.
and we hear from the floor above us, hey, you guys hear that? And so I'm like, come on, guys. I'm knocking dust off myself as we're running because I'm covered in gravel and stuff. And I'm like, I know how to get out of here. I know where the hidden sun dudes are. And I give Oliver one of the rings. I couldn't find a third one.
So only 2 rings for 3 players.
And so we formulate this little scheme where I'm going to pose as a donor and honorary member because I'm noble. And then Oliver is going to be my muscle, and this tiefling who wouldn't be let in anyways, so even if he had a ring, it wouldn't make sense. He's going to be our fake prisoner. So we had him like hold some ropes on his hands, Chewbacca style.
New Hope.
Yeah, when we were planning it, they were like, what are we going to do? And I went, New Hope, Chewbacca! And so I had him hold the rope, and it was from my tent, and I almost had him like put the tarp over his head like he was blind.
Tarp demon!
Or something. Tarp demon. But I was like, nah, I need him to see because it was pitch black.
Yeah.
And we need his tiefling eyes. We need
Again,
those tiefling
world's
eyes.
best flashlight coming through.
Yeah.
So y'all went down 3 stories from that point, and you opened up essentially a magical barrier into a room with a clockwork dragon that seemed oddly familiar.
Back in the clockwork dragon room, it's asleep. And so
suddenly,
yeah.
Money Haver and Faye are like, oh no! But we whispered it because we didn't want to alert this.
Oliver wants to fight it, and we are like,
No! We're mouthing.
We're like,
No,
we're just like
no,
running hands across our necks, like, no, cancel this.
All I wanted to do was get revenge for the singe marks.
Yeah, and I knew this would work. I was careful, but I knew it would work. So I'm like walking up to the dragon with my ring and the letter out as if the dragon can read the letter. And then the dragon like wakes up and looks at us and is like, whatever, dude, just go on.
Y'all have the secret passcode, aka the rings.
I think you need to describe this dragon because it was pretty good.
It was a really cool dragon. Tell us what your dragon looks like.
Alright, so it's an 80-foot dragon made out of metal sheets, gears, and wires. But when it turns around and looks at these characters, they actually get a look at it for the first time, and it is a Cyclops-style dragon with a single monocle eye in the center of its head, scanning with this blue field everything that walks into this room. Now, thankfully, they had the ring that said, "Oh, don't kill us," effectively.
Yeah.
But minus those 2 rings, this scan would have revealed, oh wait, I need to kill these things.
Yeah.
But it's a brass dragon that has been effectively Skyrim-style soul-trapped into a clockwork body.
So we're talking like Dwemer automaton.
Yeah.
Crap.
80 feet of ticked off.
It was post up at the door that we kicked in.
Yeah, it was waiting for us to come back in. Plus that door had been fixed and like double sealed, I remember.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it was like, come on, do it again. Do it again, suckers.
Yeah. So there's this big spiral staircase going down in the center of the room. And as we're going down that, lights are turning on it. The ring is turning on lights. And then we get into
The bottom of the stairwell,
Yeah.
and it reveals giant arc doorway.
I will
Excuse
toot
me.
my own horn here. I'm proud of Fate for this. I start going crazy with the Arcana checks.
Yeah,
I'm checking
thank you.
left and right. I'm telling the guys to wait up, let me look at all this. Because, one, the archway is dark. So
And
they
you don't
can't
have a ring, so you have to
Absolute
be
pitch
double.
black.
Yeah, it's pitch black. And I look in there, and one, it's littered with dead bodies. So I'm trying to remember what it was I said, oh shoot, I don't even remember what it was I said, but it was great. They were, did you write that down?
No, I did write down that you guys started getting into it though, like
Yeah, there was-
Fate and
There was
Gadget.
some good roleplay, actually.
There
in
was
this
some
part.
anger.
Oh, I remember what it was. Someone was, harken for
For a Sparkin.
For a
For a
Sparkin.
Oh my
Sparkin.
gosh.
I would-
And my character told him straight up that was stupid.
If you cross it, you're harking for a Sparkin.
And my character calls him Demon because
He does it all the time. And, you know, tart demon's one thing. We all know that's a good fun, but he like says it maliciously. And my character's background, one, he hates being called a demon because as
Background.
background
His
information.
background,
And plus he's
Genie.
it's just getting on his nerves. So at that point, my character had access to a rumor about Moneyhaver's
Mother,
mother who
which
had,
is aired now.
yeah,
So
and
that's-
my exact words were, "It's a good thing your mother died of illness, otherwise she'd have died of shame."
And
That was
that was like
scathing.
that destroyed all the trust that was built up because my guy's mother did die of illness, and it was really, really bad. It was the worst thing that ever happened.
This was one of those rumors that, like, again, everybody gave to the GM beforehand, and I passed out, like, as things progressed. So
Yeah.
that was absolutely fantastic from a GM perspective. I was
Yeah.
so happy that you used
That
that.
it worked out. Yeah,
Yeah.
so some rumors are true, some
And-
aren't. But that one, I tried to punch him, which confirmed its truth. But I didn't. I rolled very poorly.
You
so
rolled
he just
like a
moved-
3.
he just moved his head back like some action star. Like
And
I looked like such a wimp.
and I
The,
made
the sorcerer with a 12 AC dodged your attack.
And-
Oh God, he sucks so hard, and I still miss.
And I made
Because you
some
were
snide
angry.
remark like, "Oh, and I'd tick off the pretty rich boy or something like
Oliver tried to comfort me though, because Oliver and I are buds.
Yeah. Oliver's everybody's bud.
Oliver just wants to
Oliver's
get through
the only
this.
reason we can work
that."
together.
Yes. At that point, we have some serious animosity. But for the record, I would not have said that had you not constantly been throwing around the slur.
Accurate. That is deserved.
So after we had a little role playing moment,
Which was beautiful.
yes,
It was really good, and if it wasn't for, I can't remember who ticked me off, but somebody got really salty and ruined the moment.
I don't remember it. I honestly don't remember.
Probably
I thought
the
it was-
sconce thing. Let's be real.
There was something that happened that ruined. I was going to give everybody a fate point, and it just.
I don't think I even heard it because I
I thought
remember
it
you
was
said you weren't
because-
going to do it, and I was like, okay.
I thought it was because just my insult at his mother was such a low blow.
No, y'all started bickering about something petty, and we got lost
It was
for about
probably
5-10
the
minutes.
sconces. Let's be real.
I remember
no,
what it
because
was.
that didn't happen until we went in.
What was it?
Well, that's
Well, I was
what we
going to
were
say
at.
it was the sconces.
Yeah, I think it was the sconces because you were like, "Oh, go rip a sconce off the wall."
We'll get to that in just a
No,
second.
I thought that was pretty
So-
funny.
Well, anyways, the tiefling, because of his dark vision, could actually see into this room and see that there were dead bodies everywhere. Well, rotted dead bodies and skeletons.
And a pentagram on the floor, and automatically the anti-demon fears in me are going off like crazy. Like, I don't like
Yeah,
this
you have
one bit.
pentagram history.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't like this one bit. I don't want to be here. But so the first thing that happens before we start doing all the Arcana checks is I run an Arcana check to make sure that it won't kill us as soon as we enter this
Yeah.
archway.
I went in just fine.
Yes. And then we realized that the archway had something to do with the rings we were carrying. So this was actually a really cool
Yeah.
bit of DMing. So you actually tried tossing the ring back out to let us in.
To let you in specifically.
So
'cause
as-
Oliver had a ring, and it shot back at me like a bullet.
Well, as he walked in, there was a spark clearly from the ring that went through the whole doorway. It was a clear indication that you needed the ring to get through. And I thought they were going to have to puzzle this through. He throws it through the door, in theory, and it fires back and does some damage from recoil. But no, they just outsmarted me.
Yeah, so I overthought, and I was like, I will use my
Unseen servant.
I was trying to remember the exact name of it. My unseen servant to carry the ring across to him, and then he'll walk back through. And Oliver was like, "Why don't I just come in, grab it, and then walk back out and give it to him?" And we were all like dumbfounded, like it was 5 seconds of silence, and we were all like, "You beat us. You win the game. Campaign over."
We had 2 rings. Why not?
I was so upset that I had been outsmarted so easily.
Yeah, because he didn't expect me to get 2 rings. He didn't expect you to think of that.
It was just one punch after the other.
DM 101. You know, they're gonna do it differently than you expect them.
And I was ticked, and I really wanted to punish them, but they had straight outsmarted me, so I couldn't really be mad that they had succeeded.
And from this moment on, we now have a series of rooms that we're having to explore. And I came up with this system where it's like, okay, Oliver, you have the most health. You check the door. I'll Arcana check the room. Moneyhaver, you just have my back in case something comes through. And we did that room by room with with no issues whatsoever.
There were 3 rooms directly coming off of the room with the pentagram. And in each of these direct rooms, they found a corpse with a setting sun necklace around their neck.
I remember, I want to say this first, because my character was mad at him still. So he said, after we'd all been in, he was like, "Everyone watch out for this pentagram." And I said, "Why? Isn't that just a letter of the alphabet to you?"
And then,
which I thought was really funny.
It was.
Scathing burn.
So I then make another perception and Arcana check, and I look, and I notice that around the room there's sconces. So of course I couldn't resist. I said, "Oliver, be careful." And she's like, "What?" I said, "There are sconces all around us."
So chill out, Oliver.
Don't rip them off the freaking walls.
No, it's fine.
I needed to see, so I ripped sconces off.
These sconces you wouldn't have helped because they were just burnt out candles.
And they weren't even sconces, they were just candelabras holding
Yeah.
burnt out magical candles.
But in the side rooms each had a dead priest, dead from like blood magic, which was really unusual in what's supposed to be like a churchy setting.
Yeah.
So,
so why do we have this Sweetsy Arcana magic mixed in with this hazelnut creamy priest magic?
That's a good way. Basically, Fate passed an Arcana check to determine that the magic in these rooms was not a divine or clerical style magic. This was very arcane, out of the ordinary for this setting.
There's
magic.
an absence of God from this magic.
There you go. That's a good way to phrase it.
Yeah.
And so it very much did not align with, clerical robes and a clerical symbol on their chests. So
And we wanted to get the bodies, but we were afraid of entering the room because we were like, did entering the room make him die? So I used my grapple gun to hook onto the bodies and drag them out. I mean, I had a net, but I was like, nah, I'll use my grapple gun.
Batman.
When you got it, use it.
When you got it. I mean, it's the coolest thing. It's my favorite piece of gear. So I just drag them, and I took their Rising Suns necklaces because I thought we might need them to activate the pentagram, and I was completely
You hear
wrong,
the
so I
James
just had
Bond
two.
theme?
So far, I mean,
Yeah, so
you're
far
not
I haven't
totally
needed 'em.
wrong.
Because let's talk about the next room because the side rooms were pretty easy to cover.
So the rooms to the left and right were just the corpses, but the room at the back of the room, there was a wooden door behind the pentagram. You opened it up, and there was another dead priest-looking guy, but there was a door behind him as well.
So this is strange. So we've got 3 identical rooms, but only one has an additional exit.
Yeah.
So
I knew it would. I called that early on.
I wanted us to do...
Symmetry is
just
good.
the placement of the room. Yeah.
I wanted us to do what we had been doing. Oliver opens the door, I Arcana check, and then the Moneyhaver has our back. But this is when things start getting crazy. Because the first thing that happens, and I kind of regret not doing an Arcana check on the door first, but Oliver opens it, or tries to.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, there's this wave of magic, and I recognize it as magic. Even Moneyhaver recognizes it as magic.
Arcane Trickster.
Yeah.
And she just, Oliver, he just starts puking. And I roll an Arcana check, and basically what has happened is that Oliver has experienced the magical equivalent of radiation poisoning.
Yeah, so since 2 of us are magic people, literally the one person that couldn't open the door is the one who tried to open the door.
Let's be real. It was Fate's idea.
It was.
It worked
Fate's
up until that point.
Fate's a turd.
So at that point, I check to make sure that Oliver is okay, because even though I'm a medic or anything, I at least can tell, okay, are you actively dying or something?
And you were at least nice.
Yeah, you did an Arcana check to make sure.
You're the Oreo cream filling that keep these two hard cookies together.
Yeah, we're hard cookie boys.
Not totally wrong.
That's on the front of our mixtape, Hard Cookie Boys.
Buy the t-shirt.
It's literally just a picture of two of the Oreo cookie parts with no cream. It's the worst mixtape of all time. We can't give it away. Call 1-800-555.
Cookie
Please
Boys.
take them from me.
Okay, so
I don't know how to deal with these people.
He's like,
Somebody
I'm ready
save
for bed,
Tommy.
dude. I'm ready.
so I forget at that point. How did we get the door open?
Oliver
again?
Oliver just got thrown across as a protective measure.
we just opened that one.
The door itself was not actually magically locked, but just as long as you had any kind of magical resistance, you could open the door.
But then
The
there
next
was a
door was the
second
fancy
door.
one. Yeah, because I was like,
No,
okay.
that was the fancy doors. Y'all, you opened the door and you saw you could.
No, there was the push door next.
No, there was a second door that I kicked.
I thought that was the door that. Okay.
No, because that was just the door that we opened.
Yeah, there was this door that had the dead
That was the
priest in
sickness
it,
door.
and then
Sorry,
there
we
was
have
the
like a
door.
chart with us.
There's so many doors.
And then the next
Doors
door
on doors.
before the boss.
Sorry, I was rolling those two doors into one.
Right.
Oh, you're good.
Yeah, so that's the one that
So-
force pushed us away.
Yes.
That was the DNA locked door.
Yes.
And then
The second door.
Oliver, the door destroyer, comes at it again.
Yeah.
With an 18.
'cause I was like, here, I'll get the door this time in case it's the same way, and I shoot backwards and take like
No.
'em. I remember this.
So what happened was Fate proceeds to try and crack his knuckles, and he's getting ready to, say, "My time to shine. Let's see what you got." And then all of a sudden, here comes Oliver.
Yeah.
What does Oliver do?
Of course, I'm gonna kick in that door. Because also, I wanted to steal Fate's thunder. Let's be real.
And it was so funny because it was a very successful roll. So he kicks in the door, and the door goes flying one way, and he goes flying the other from the spell.
And
It was like the magnets repelling each other.
it was Newton's lock.
It was so funny. And there's a boss in that room, and like the door flies by his head, and he's like, "What?"
and so I'm just standing there, my knuckles half cracked,
Yeah, it's in that position, like,
and I'm like, okay. And so I look in,
And Oliver has just flown like 12 feet across a room from recoil.
and so the boss is upset. I'm a little miffed, and I look in, and all I have time to say as Fate is, "He's a half elf mage."
he's a half-elf mage! And the DM told us,
Boom! Here comes the magic.
because we rolled like initiative and everything, and mine was a nat 20, and he was like, "He's a half-elf mage!" And so we just like felt this evil aura from him, and we were like, "We're gonna attack this fool right now." I put like 2 arrows in him right away.
From a nat 20, I give you an extra attack beginning in your attack phase. So
Yeah.
he got an attack, and then he got his standard action.
I like arrows.
So yeah, lots of arrows.
Then Oliver was next for initiative, and what did you do, Oliver?
Yeah, I have a scythe that gives me the trip ability, so like superiority dice, fighter stuff. So I just I'm just gonna trip him so we can all gang up on him.
And we did.
Oh my gosh.
This boss literally didn't get a chance to
So-
speak.
Proceeding right after Oliver trips him, I see an opportunity, and I just go, and I proceed to practically spank him with lightning hands.
Yeah, get it, boy!
Like a bad boy.
Yeah. Well, I actually did the least amount of damage compared to what you guys were doing to him, but I
Yeah.
shocked him. And out of that whole fight, I was the only one who took damage. But
Because your character sucks, yeah.
But because he's a mage that we're fighting, his physical attack sucks. We only did like 4 damage.
Yeah.
Accurate.
He did that one thing where he pushed us all away, but we recovered pretty easily.
Y'all actually all rolled phenomenally on con and dex checks the
Yeah.
entire fight. So there was, at a certain point, there was nothing I could do to y'all to stop y'all from beating this sucker
I
into
think what
oblivion.
happened was you both, Fate and McGaddick had 16, so they're like, "Oh, this is fine. Our con is totally good."
Yeah,
I was given a sneak attack that hit hard. I rolled a 6 for every d6 I rolled, literally.
So you rolled like 24 damage in a single turn just
Yeah.
because with a sneak attack on a rogue, if there's a companion next to your target, that's not targeting the rogue, you get to add 3d6
Yeah.
immediately. So he just absolutely tore into this guy's butthole.
And I was so disappointed because Oliver wound up being the one to deliver the killing blow, but this was such
You
a...
really wanted to get
Yeah.
Well, so it was such a perfect position because I was getting ready to do Thunderstep, and
You flip it through your
Again!
spell book.
And
Yeah, your
but-
spell book.
And so I'm in melee distance, and Oliver's in melee distance of this guy, and I'm like, okay, I do Thunderstep. We're gonna do like 8d6 of thunder damage, and I'm gonna teleport me and Oliver the heck out of here. It's gonna be beautiful.
But nope.
And then
Yeah, no.
Oliver decapitates him.
Action surge!
I'm not. Yeah. So
That skull smacked the ground, and we did this all in darkness. This is the best part. We could barely see him.
it was great. Well, Oliver got thrown back. He's a little miffed about this. This is like the third time it's
Yeah,
happened.
your character was kind of mad.
In about 10 seconds, you got thrown about 40 feet.
Yeah.
So upset about getting thrown around.
Yeah, it's weird.
It was great. It's extra attack, action surge. I just dumped everything into
I
it.
just imagine Oliver as this meat-headed, like, Southerner going, come here, boy. I ain't done with you yet.
Dropped all
Get off
my
my
spirit.
property!
Just like that.
I love it.
Hippity hoppity, get off my plane of existence.
Oh, you could have rhymed.
So close.
Oh
So
my
cool.
god.
that was
But yes, it was a very good fight where we just, we
You say good. It was really just an extreme fight of everybody dropping their best crap on a single target.
Yeah, he had a 98 HP. We did 104.
Like, it was just an insta-kill. And because he got knocked on his butt after a trip attack, he had to use his entire movement just to get back on his feet and
Yeah.
cast one spell that failed.
It was
Yeah,
like,
that was a good move,
It was like a
Karen.
really sick Tom and Jerry bit. You know how like where they're like
More
Tom,
like Itchy
Jerry-
and
Tom is
Scratchy.
just like ragdoll Jerry, and
Tom
that's
and-
exactly
Tom,
what happened.
Jerry-
Used him as a corpse puppet.
You know all about that, Hunt.
Oh yeah, the whole campaign, because there were all these dead bodies. I'm in school for funeral science, so I was like, this is what the body would be like at this moment. Their skin slip and all this gross stuff. And their DM was like, oh, I'm going to have to consult you on my next campaign so I know what these bodies are doing.
I mean, like, straight up, I didn't want to be called out on bad science.
Yeah, of course.
I think we were making up for the bad combat in session 2. We were just trying so hard.
Yeah.
Which this mage was supposed to be harder than the automaton in the alternative timeline, but
I'm going to go ahead and say session 4 was a very quick session because of just time constraints and
Yeah.
and the time of night we started playing.
We got new stuff, too, from the boss.
Yes.
Fate's got some robes. What were your robes?
the exact name of the robes are the
Is that a robe you invented, like my grappling hook, or is it something?
It's
that you
it's
like?
another
Yeah,
invention.
It's the Mage Warden robes, which basically allows me to take any spell that I know and imprint it onto the robe, and I can now cast it as a cantrip. So
You
Once
store
a
a
day.
spell in the robe.
yeah.
Once a day.
Pretty cool.
Which, hey, that's a free lightning bolt spell.
Yeah.
Now the problem is if you cast, you could store a lightning bolt in that robe today, but you won't be able to cast it today. It
Yeah.
requires the use of the spell to imprint it.
Yeah, so I'm basically turning Fate into a combination of Palpatine and Jar Jar Binks.
Not
Oh
inaccurate.
my god.
Now, does that make me want to kick you out of my house? Yes, but is that inaccurate? No.
What a horrifying image that just popped into my mind.
have unlimited power!
Do it! Stop! Do it! Just imagine that being the villain in Rise of Skywalker. Just terrible.
Yeah, it's Jar Jar Binks' half-dead corpse on that automatic arm.
I'm trying to forget that now.
Did you see that movie?
Yes.
No.
Ah,
I'm trying to
bad,
actively
right?
forget
Which
that.
one?
Rise of Skywalker?
We haven't seen the newest one.
I've seen some of the highlights because
Okay.
it's been pirated.
But,
oh no,
yeah, so you've seen clips of that.
Yes.
like YouTube
I've seen
clips.
enough to know what happens.
You
So-
poor soul.
I
I
got
know.
a dagger with sidekick damage, 1d4 plus dex plus int, and it can, like,
Once a day you can knock somebody out
yeah, and I
if
can
they
knock
don't pass a
somebody out,
contract.
which is pretty cool. And then there was also this master key that lets like one thing pass through a portal, and Fate reached for it. He was like, "It's time for Fate to take something," is what he was gonna say. He's like, "It's time for Fate," and then Oliver snatches it, and he goes,
no, what I said was, I'm going to, and as I reach for it, Oliver grabs it, and I say, let Oliver take it. Yes, that's what I'm going to do.
Yes.
Sure, totally. That's what I meant.
I knew Fate wanted it. I'm like, you only
Yeah.
get one thing.
It's not fair for him to get 2 things, me get 1, and you get nothing.
So the Master Key once a day allows you to pull a single object through a physical barrier. So, for instance, you could cast it on a door and one person could walk through a door, or you could cast it on a chest and you could pull an object out of that chest. But only one object in its entirety can pass through that portal. So,
Nice.
I like it.
My
we'll
name
see what
is Jeff.
happens.
Yeah, I'm really excited for the next time we do this.
Yeah, that's sessions 3 and 4. I think we should all go around and refresh who our characters are. I'll go first. I'm Gaddick McMoneyhaver, the noble rogue, and handsome little boyo. We all went up to level 6, by the way, just a little FYI. You know that if you follow us on Facebook at B3 Podcasts. And Karen, tell us about your character.
I'm Oliver Gideon. I'm a folk hero, fighter, also level 6, that I just didn't change it on my character sheet. And I'm aligned good. I don't know where, but I'm a good character.
It just says good.
I am Fate, the Tiefling Storm Sorcerer, and I've gotten a little bit more powerful since you've last heard about me. I'm about at level 5,000 now.
Wrong, but fine. Continue.
I'm still Kami and I'm still God.
Yeah, still DM. All right, so we are going to do our regular thing where we all roll a d20 to see who gets initiative to speak first. 10.
6.
14.
16.
I wanted you to go first anyways, just like last time.
Perfect.
I love how this is one of the first good rolls all
day, yeah,
all day.
you rolled several crit fails today.
But you did crit succeed, and we'll get to that.
Oh, yeah.
So I guess I'll pick up where we left off, which was the substructure underneath the cathedral.
Yeah, just tell us where we are, man.
They just made it past a giant room with a huge pentagram in the floor. They went into a study that was the back wall of that room. They murder hoboed somebody in about 3 seconds. It was a way easier fight than it should have been. Outside of the story, I did tone that character down based on y'all's struggles with the Centurion. And I really wish I had left him the way he originally was, because then it would have actually been like a legitimate fight, rather than giving him 100 health like the Centurion. So, yeah, they killed it in like a turn, and got to loot his body for some great stuff.
We thought he was a stand user. Turns out he was just a normal guy.
Yeah.
So, they murder hoboed somebody in his study, and they looted him, and that's kind of where we left off.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, that's it for today's podcast, everybody.
Night.
No. We still got a good 30 minutes at least.
That's
Actually, this was a long one, so it might be a little longer.
It might be.
It was a very long day. It didn't feel like it.
It was very productive.
What time did we start?
Y'all got here at like
30?
y'all got 3:30.
Because we ate
4-ish.
lasagna.
Oh, that was some good lasagna. Thank you, Karen.
Yeah.
It was really good. I killed the cow myself, which is sort of true, but so
It was a 5-hour session, probably though.
yeah, it was really long. So the first thing we did was just kind of search around his little office area. Looked at all his papers. We couldn't really read any of them. Just had a letter that showed he was pretending to be somewhere else, and he was from like a neighboring city-state that's in
Province.
that's in some kind of conflict with this one a little bit, but that didn't seem as relevant as I thought it would be. But
No comment.
I did find 150 gold in his desk, which I did keep all to myself, of course. My last name is McMoneyhaver, after all, and I needed to stay true to it.
Cha-ching.
Although,
I didn't feel the need to split it up because that's pocket change to my character, you know.
And, well, in the current situation that we're in, it's not like any shops are going to want to sell you stuff.
Yeah, but
To be fair, any people would sell them those two anything. It's just you they don't like. Mr. Tiefling.
that's what you get for playing as a minority.
This is why they built that wall around the city, man.
But there was also a chest under there that was full of our stuff that got stolen off of us earlier, because at the beginning of the campaign we lost a lot of our gear, and it was all in that chest, which was very nice. So we got all our stuff back, which did come in handy because we used a rope a lot, and we got our rope back. We used a lot of rope.
Let's see. So after you plundered the whole place, Fate was over there in the corner doing his Arcana thing.
Yeah, there was a kind of a workshop area in the back area where the sorcerer, mage, half elf was working, and I was checking out some of the stuff there, making sure that was going to blow up or make us purge our guts.
What?
And then what were you doing, Oliver?
I think I was just...
You were poking a corpse at that point, I believe, because you didn't have anything to do.
Yeah, everything else was being handled. I'm like, well, I'm kind of useless, so I just kind of poked the dead body, and I'm like, I'll wait until they need me.
You did kick a door open, as is your fashion, but it was already unlocked, and it didn't matter, so it just kind of flew open. Oh, no.
Yeah, exactly. It wasn't a good Oliver session, I feel like. It was a very bad Oliver session.
That room was like the room behind the office was like a magical study with another big shape on the floor that was like a
circle.
Hologram projection circle.
Yeah,
It's for
basically.
long distance communication. So whoever this guy was working for, he was talking to a lot.
Yeah. And is your world going to have campaigns that connect to each other or not?
Oh gosh, well, once we finish this campaign, like I've got a big world built out, so you guys can play these characters until the day you die and not run out of content.
If we survive this one, because we're all like half health now, but
Y'all went pretty elite this particular session. Like y'all found some really creative solutions.
I thought I would be on a really bad game because I was exhausted when I got here, and I still am. But I think I was actually top of my game, to be completely honest.
You just need a little pick me up.
It was just a role play session, and I'm good at the role play. But in this room, there was like, I'll let you tell what was in the room since you literally wrote it.
It was a magical workshop. So the walls were covered in grimoires and magical indexes, things like that. The floor had that inscribed circle for long distance communication, and in the corner was a work table that had a book opened. And one of the clues that I handed out was that the workbook was open to a long distance, high level teleportation spell to move things from one place to another. At very long distance, and all the supplies to make that happen in quick succession.
And we kind of guessed that's how we got in the Archbishop's office, which is what we guessed. Obviously, you can't tell us one way or another, but that's what we figured. And the argument we tried to make later. Speaking of that...
Y'all did neglect to use that room as evidence discussing things with Kraft.
That's not true.
Y'all didn't mention that room at all when you were talking to Kraft.
That is absolutely not true.
Yeah, I distinctly remember... Moneyhaver's character saying that we looked in a room that belonged to...
We told him all about that room. We didn't take him in there, but we told him all about it.
I think that's what he means. I think, showing him the evidence.
Oh, but he wasn't a magic
I thought you
guy.
did give him the documents that we found in there.
Those documents
weren't from in there. There weren't any documents in there.
Nobody mentioned teleportation spells.
True.
Nobody mentioned anything about a teleportation spell, which was the relevant info in that room.
I could have sworn I did.
I was listening out for anything about a teleportation spell.
Are you guessing his GM skills?
No, I'm not. I just feel like I did, but I might just be wrong.
Legitimately, I could have missed something, but I thought I was trying to distinctly listen out for anything about a teleportation
Once again,
spell.
I'm exhausted today, so I probably just didn't.
He's just blaming his exhaustion for his poor play.
Yeah, because if I was, I'd be perfect otherwise.
Oh, yeah, of course.
I am a god. But,
it's actually painful to look at him. He's so perfect.
Yeah, I know, right? I'm so muscular and I'm not overweight at all.
Moving on.
But,
so while we're in the room...
Yeah, I heard some people creeping on up.
So,
This is where the chaos started settling in. So
I tell them to hide. I'm like, go hide in the corner of the teleportation room while I throw some books in front of a door.
Was that your first crit fail of the evening?
Yes.
Yeah.
The first roll and the first crit fail.
Well, I think the first thing to point out was that Moneyhaver wanted to hide in one of the side rooms, where if you remember from the last campaign.
No, because we would have had to walk past him to get to those.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
you did still want to go hide in one of the side rooms because
I don't remember.
They were in the room.
Somebody recommended. I don't remember who did.
Yeah. It might have been. If they're saying it's me, it might have been me.
My character was
Where were
actually.
they? I'm sorry, I'm out of it right now. I was trying not to talk as much as I am right now, but no one else is really talking.
I'll be quiet.
Gotta fill the space.
They were in the room prior to the room with the pentagram in it. They were way out there.
Oh yeah, you're right. They were further out.
Yeah, you rolled really good.
I just heard them because of the echo.
Yes. So they were way out there and you wanted to hide in one of the side rooms to get away from the crime scene, but I said, let's just stay in the room right beyond the crime scene. So I moved...
Which was the much better play, turns out, yeah.
So you guys ended up hiding. I crit failed stacking books in front of a door, but
Quietly, it was the stealth side of that.
I remember one of the magic books fell open and it literally screamed.
Like Harry Potter and the Secret Library style screaming thing. But you crit failed your stealth check, but they also crit failed their perception while they were coming into the area. So once again, my dice saved your butts.
Yeah, you rolled awful for NPCs like all day, except for that one nat 20 where it really mattered for us.
I did not roll above, for the first half of this session, I didn't roll above a 7. It was really demoralizing until the one strength check.
Yeah, until one strength. So.
But,
All right, so she's just you play as a little dude, as a little twink, and you're just chucking books at the door, and then they come in and they're like, "What? What was that sound? We're dumb." And they're like, check the magic seal on the door, see if it still works. And they try to move the door, but there's literally 500 pounds of books, which I also thought was a stupid idea, but it turned out to sort of be right and sort of be wrong. Because it should have been a stupid idea, but somehow wasn't.
The program failed successfully.
the dice man.
Yeah.
You used the wrong equation, but got the right answer.
So they were like, it won't open, it must still be magically sealed. And I was like, everybody wait for the big man. Because they sent 2 to go get...
One of them. They sent one of them.
One of the fancy bishop boys.
Kraft cheese.
Yeah. Kraft Punk.
Craft.
Yo, what is up? I'm Kraft Punk.
You just got Kraft dunked.
Oh my goodness.
So the guy's name is actually Kraft Richter. I'm trying to use very dramatic names.
And he's like the head of the... You explain who he is.
He's a bishop who is kind of heading up the Setting Sun's subgroup within the church. He's kind of the zealot's leader.
Yeah.
So when they find their buddy dead, they're like, oh, crud, we should totally let the leader know that there's dudes messing with our stuff. Go get him.
Yeah, so they bring him back, and I'm like, all right, let's get him. Because my plan was, after I heard them mention his name, was to get him and try to prove our innocence.
So they brought him and one other guy down, so...
Yeah, so it was
We heard them.
the one sorcerer guy and then the 2 clerics.
They were dressed as clerics, but they never entered combat for y'all to find out anything more.
And then Bishop Boy, Kraft Cheese.
So we moved...
You should never have named him Kraft.
That was a mistake. I should have really considered my players before I chose that name.
He has a wife, you know. Her name is Velvita.
Oh my goodness.
Please die.
We
Absolutely, please
moved
die.
all of the books.
Don't worry.
We ran out, and I think this is where Gaddick really showed his skill tonight.
Oh, yeah. I charge out with my psychic
Oh, wait,
dagger.
no, wait, we forgot. We still had 500 pounds of books that we had to get
Yeah, I
rid
just
of.
said we moved
Yeah.
them.
With some assistance
With
from
some-
fate.
With some assistance from Fate.
He couldn't hear you specifically because you're a woman.
Oh,
He's
okay.
sexist. I'm sorry.
Oh,
I'm sorry you had to find out this
okay.
way.
My bad.
Continuing, so you run out with your... Go ahead.
Yeah, my psychic dagger and my grapple gauntlet, and I grappled the bishop Batman style, and it like wraps around him, so I have the bishop captured, and I like slam him against the desk, and I'm like, nobody move, see? And then what happened? What happened after
Then
that?
I went and I saw that there was a wizard in the room, and I'm like, ooh, that looks like a dangerous person.
Little
So
danger boy.
I grappled him, which I don't know how I succeeded that one. I think I barely did.
He's a wizard with like negative mods in strength and dex.
Yeah.
Oh, so he's fate.
Something like that. Just not as talented.
So
Oh.
we grabbed him, and then Fate.
Well, I was currently holding buffs on you guys because since I leveled up, I got an extra spell slot for a spell, and I decided to go for a little bit more of a supporting attribute since I didn't. All I had was offensive stuff.
Yeah, all I got was a stat and HP boost. I got jacked.
So I added.
I got a good one though. I rolled an 8 out of 8.
Well, you got your expertise. You got
Yeah.
to double your proficiency on some skills.
That came in handy with persuasion today.
Before you guys left the room, I cast Enhance Ability on Oliver and gave him basically what's called Bull's Strength. That's why we were able to clear out the 500 pounds of books so quickly. And you basically just decked this guy and then wrapped him up like an anaconda.
Yeah.
It's pretty accurate.
Yeah, it's true. So, I think from there you went into interrogation mode, Mr. Gaddick.
Yeah, and I was like, why'd you frame us for killing the big boy? And he actually didn't know, which was really insane. I honest to God thought he would be behind it.
And then the other two guys were starting to panic. They couldn't figure out what was going on. And so I'd go and cast Thaumaturgy, which I increased the voice or the sound of my voice by 3. And I basically roll a mass intimidation check and just tell everyone to sit down, shut up, we're talking now.
Yeah. So we presented him with all this evidence and stuff, and we were like, because he was looking for some wizards earlier, and they're dead because they were killed by the half-elf mage that we killed in cold blood, honestly.
Yeah, he really didn't get a chance to fight back.
In cold blood, to be completely honest. We weren't murderers when it started, we were framed, but now, by the end of this campaign, we should absolutely be executed.
I did tell you guys to start combat, though. Like, I told everybody to roll initiative, so,
Yeah.
like, I did let you know this was a fight. Y'all didn't murder that guy.
Was it
You mage!
You murdered later, not this guy.
Yeah.
Though.
So, I'm presenting all this evidence, like documents, and talking about stuff. Presenting evidence to say that we didn't kill the Archbishop. And he, like, doesn't really believe us, and I'm like, fine, I'll take you to the bodies. And that's when the dude freaked. Not the guy we were interrogating, not Kraft or Reno.
Wizard.
The wizard.
Yeah.
That Gideon was anaconda-ing.
What was his name? They all had names.
Otto.
Otto
was the
Reno.
sorcerer that you were choking out.
I wasn't even choking him. I was just holding them from, like, attacking.
Yeah. I like when you were trying to beat him into telling the truth, and you had an axe on him, and he drops the axe to punch him, and I was like, wow, way to downgrade.
No, but then it ended up working, and he kind of piddled himself.
Yeah,
so.
he did pee.
There was a lot of
lot of people peed themselves this night, which was very odd to me.
There were a lot of, like, over 20 intimidation rolls today. I was really not prepared for this level of intimidation.
Yeah.
Like almost everything I rolled today was over a 20. It was wild.
Yeah, so the sorcerer, he gets free of Gideon, and he then throws up this massive wall of fire between him and us.
The wall of fire.
Thanks, Johnny.
Which,
Please, call me Kevin.
because you guys were in its direct line of fire, I think it hurt you a little bit, but I was still technically in the other room, so I was just
Yeah, it
barely
didn't
out of
hurt you.
range.
You have
Yeah.
fire resistance either way, which would have helped, but
We got a little damage. From
Oliver
little.
820.
Well,
I
yeah.
took 7. Mm-hmm. I took 7.
Because you successfully evaded, and
I'm
Oliver...
a fast little boy toy.
The rundown was that Oliver got elbowed in the ribs hard enough to, like, stun him, and that's how the...
Yeah, after Gaddick said, let's go to the rooms to show you some dead bodies, he freaked
Yeah,
out.
because he knew he was about to...
Get exposed.
Yeah.
And he was... Oh,
He had repeatedly lied to the bishop, and the entire party had enough insight to realize he was lying, but he succeeded a persuasion check.
also, you're more likely to believe your buddy than the 3 random people you think
Of
killed the
course,
arch.
yeah. Like, obviously.
I mean,
It was stacked against us.
Yeah, a little bit.
This whole campaign's been stacked against us, but that's why it's been so fun.
But I will
Hope
say
so.
it was very impressive that we managed to get through this whole combat experience without actually killing anyone.
Yeah, I'm actually
Yeah.
very proud of us for that.
so, guy threw up a wall of fire, and then...
Oh,
What
I
happened to that?
threw my Javelin of Misty Step, which lets me teleport, so I
I
teleported to
magic
the other
missiled him.
side.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you magic missiled him, which, since the wall of fire needs concentration, you disrupted. And then...
No.
No. The wall of fire was still there.
Oh.
She destroyed him. She did almost too much damage.
Oh, yeah, explain in detail how exactly you
You wrecked him.
Yeah.
You wrecked him
So-
for life. You crippled him for life, I'm sure.
Yeah, I jumped through with this Javelin of Misty Step, which teleports me. I didn't exactly hit where I wanted to, but it teleported me. And then I ended up one of the only crits tonight, only good crits. And it was with my war pick because I'm like, I haven't used this. I feel bad. And I crit on it, but when you crit with a war pick...
It does triple damage instead of double damage. War picks have a crit range of 20. Most weapons have a crit range of 19 or 20. Trade-off is triple damage for a crit.
Exactly. So with a 1d8 plus strength, I rolled 2 8s and a 4, and then my strength I maxed out this time around because of the level up.
And you still have advantage from the enchantment.
And advantage from the enchantment that Fate threw up, and yeah, I almost severed his arm. So
You almost
You
stabbed
split
him
him
in
in
the heart
half.
from the top.
I mean, you know.
You pierced from the top. You pierced through his collarbone, through his shoulder, and stopped just at his rib
Just
cage
above his
above the heart. You nearly tore this guy in half with a
Yeah,
pick.
but the wall dropped after that, at least, so we could
Yeah.
continue on.
Can't concentrate on keeping a firewall up if you're not conscious.
Right. And then you were still dealing with Craft Boy.
Yeah.
And at that
Craft
point, I think this is the first time I've really used Fate's charisma in a combat situation. So I actually come out of the room where I'm at, and I don't attack anything just yet. I told Kami that I wanted to prepare a twin spell lightning bolt effect, and I wanted to use it as an intimidation to scare the other two clerics or priests. And not where I said, okay, the next one of you who moves or draws a weapon is going to eat lightning.
So just need to pull the held action. Yeah. Which is a good move for an intimidation check if you've got lightning crackling between your fingers.
And then they also peed themselves.
One of them
Lots of
peed-
urine.
One of them peed
Makes me
them-
wonder about you, actually.
I mean, I didn't know what else to do when he rolled a nat 20 intimidation check on a cleric. I was like, I mean...
It's a good non-verbal way to show fear, I suppose.
I wasn't sure what else to do, guys. You intimidated far more people than I expected.
We really
For
did.
being as klutzy as y'all are at times, y'all
Oh,
scared
yeah.
a lot of
we
people.
got kind of klutzier as it went along, too.
I wouldn't do that if I were you.
It's a good thing they didn't move, because actually when you prepared that spell, the guy you crit succeeded on, if you'd fired a lightning bolt at him, it would have gone right through Craft.
Yeah.
Well, I could have paid a spell slot to careful spell it.
Nah, not if you've got dual spell. You can't meta magic 2 times.
okay.
We've killed enough.
So I was really glad that you succeeded on that guy, because if you'd had to fire, it would have been not good. You'd either had to not fire or possibly kill Craft.
That's fate. Whoa! Classic fate moment that would have been.
Moving on.
Yeah, so once that guy's knocked out, we do drag him to one of the side rooms to show him that there is some tomfoolery around.
Dragged Richter to the room.
He refused to be dragged, so he walked calmly with us.
Yeah, and I
Too
think
much
I brought
pride.
the unconscious guy, just in case.
Yeah, and you held the other two down in the back room, and he was like, "Oh no, my guys are definitely up to something bad, but I still don't believe you guys didn't kill the big boy upstairs."
Trick was they had so far not shown any proof that they didn't kill the guy, just that his friends were lying to him about some stuff. But
To be honest, we don't even have much real proof, but
it's true.
I feel like that's kind of the point.
Y'all have walked past some proof, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I think, had we been a little more careful with our earlier sessions, we probably would have had proof to be like,
Yeah.
we're not bad, we promise.
I almost thought we could get out of it legally, and I was wrong. I was so wrong.
This turned into more of a massacre than expected.
Yeah, because
Yeah, we just...
then we had this big fight
In character.
with each other, like a argument about how to proceed. Because I was like, oh no, that's not what happened. Because there was the interrogation of the two and the burning.
Yeah,
Yes.
that happened first.
Yeah, we got to talk about that. How about you? One of you tell us about that, since you guys haven't spoken too
Okay,
much.
so I take the lead
How about
on
someone
this. Oh, okay.
I'm just messing with you. Go ahead, my man.
So they come back into the room and I start interrogating the other two clerics. The first one, it wasn't a crit succeed, but it did nice scare the crap out of the crit succeed one again.
Yeah, you roll like a 17 on another intimidation check to get information out of him, because you're still holding a lightning bolt next to his face, effectively.
Right, and he starts to tell us some stuff, but all of a sudden this burning pentagram starts showing up on his chest, and with an Arcana check, I
It
determined
wasn't
that.
a pentagram. It was some kind of symbol from that other.
Just some magic script across his chest.
Okay, yeah. So basically, it was a secret warning spell that prevents people from talking about stuff, kind of like the unbreakable vow from Harry Potter, except with secrets instead of promises. So this guy told us all he could without, killing himself, and so I start on the other guy, And I try to intimidate him, and I try to persuade him first. That doesn't work out so well. So then I try to intimidate him instead.
Well, that's how you got the information about the bell tower, was the second guy.
Yeah, because my idea was like, ask him about the bell tower. I bet that doesn't cover the bell tower, because that's for something. That's almost a separate thing.
So he starts making eyes at Kraft, who's like shooting daggers at him now at this point. And
then you got between them to cover it up, which was...
Really smart idea.
It was a smart idea, but at the same time, it was a mistake.
Right, so I put my hands on my hips and I get in his face and said, "Really? So tell me about this bell tower." And I basically cut off visual lines between him and Kraft.
Yeah.
Now, previously, he'd been about 15 feet away from this cleric that he was interrogating. He did specifically say that he got right up in this guy's face.
Partial for intimidation, but also I didn't want Kraft and this other guy from non-verbally communicating.
Yeah.
But what was bad for me was that this guy has like a cyanide pill in the form of an incendiary device.
Yeah. So the same thing that makes him keep the secret, he can also break and make himself boom.
So all of a sudden, a small incendiary bomb goes off from this guy's chest. The guy's toast. And I
So are you.
Well, I'm not nearly as toasty because I have a resistance against fire, being half demon. But it throws me across the room, and I take a good chunk of damage. Not enough to kill me.
It knocks you into me. I took like 4, I think.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, after calculating, had it been either of you two, not that you guys would have been in this guy's face, but had it been you guys two, it would have killed either of you.
Yeah.
It was a 33-point blast, I think, of damage. And you took half because of your fiendish resistance to fire. But that would have killed either of y'all and y'all's damage.
Yeah, it was pretty
So,
crazy
at
stuff.
at
Worked
this-
out.
at
I didn't
this-
have much damage, but it still would have, yeah.
So at this point, fate is still technically good, so he's not wanting to kill these guys, but his patience is wearing thin. He's just wanting to get the situation over with.
Yeah, my guy too. And I'm like, let's lock the remaining 2 in a room. One's catatonic from the burns, and the other ain't got no blood left. So what's he gonna do? So I was like, let's lock them in a room. And we were having trouble deciding which rooms. And then you were like, no, they could die if put in the other rooms. And I was like, prove it. Like, there was nothing. There was no proof that just being in those rooms would kill them. And then someone lied to me, and I fell for it.
Right. Oh,
because
so
of my
I
role.
think we should explain this whole situation.
So
It's a very long
first
argument.
off, explain how you guys fired shots at each other.
Oh, that was great when the rumors kicked
you
in.
were like, yeah. So Oliver was afraid that they were gonna starve or not be found.
Let me explain my
No,
reasoning.
it's,
So
you can do
mean.
that when it gets to your turn. It's my podcast, see?
We're going to be here for 12 hours.
But she was like, I don't want to kill anyone, and I was like, because there are these rumors that we all spread around, right? That are given to us by the DM about characters, and I was like, weren't you willing to behead like an entire town city council once to get something done? This is 2 zealots that framed us, and you're giving them more than the city council, and that turned out to be a true rumor that I maybe just don't have all the info about. And then
Definitely.
I'll pass it off to you. You can tell your side of the story.
So, where do you want me to start? Do I get a 20-second window
You
here?
can do whatever you want. Do whatever you
Okay.
want.
Well, I didn't know. It is your podcast.
Remember what I say. There's no consequences. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, my thought was we were looking at these rooms that they wanted to throw them in, but we had very little information about them. So I thought if we threw them in there, there's dead bodies. What if they instantly die as soon as you throw them in there? That's a little chaotic, not nice. So I didn't really want to just toss someone in there to just die. But then they're like, well, let's lock them in a room. And it's like, well, what if no one ever shows up to let them out? Then they'll starve to death, and that's really bad and not really chaotic nice either. So I was like, what if we just, bring them with and drop them somewhere or do something else? I mean, they weren't going to be hard to drag anywhere. But then he says this rumory thingy. And so I received a rumor about him, and I was like, what? Didn't your dad disown you or something? And then he ended up explaining about that.
Yeah, and my guy was immediately like, my father would never do that. Like, very proud of his daddy. And you did roll insight on that, and my dad, in fact, did not disown me, but he did forcibly send me out in the world to learn that money isn't everything.
So we got to learn that rumor wasn't true.
So this goes back and forth for a little while longer, and Fate is fed up with this. He just wants to get out of this basement. He's tired of having things blow up in his face or get shot at him. And so I said, okay, best of both worlds. We're going to put him in a room, and I'm going to seal it with a timed seal. Now, the seal that I'm talking about, I'm lying at this point because I just have prestidigitation, and I claim that I'm going to make like a Naruto paper seal, where after 5 hours... it'll unlock and the people can leave. And in order to have this succeed, I had to convince Money Haver and Oliver that what I was saying wasn't complete bullcrap.
So I had him roll a deception check against McMoney Haver's insight check, and the deception check from Fate won.
So I tell them that this is what I'm doing, and Oliver says, fine, but you're not going to get my help from it. So I crit succeed. I get a nat 20 on dragging one of these limp bodies to a door.
I think you rolled on that before I even asked you to, because I wasn't really going to ask you to roll on dragging the dead body. They weren't going to fight you.
Yeah.
So I put them in. I slap 2 illusionary pieces of paper that mean absolutely nothing on these doors.
Someone's going to come down there later and be like, what is this?
Well, the best part is those 2 guys are unconscious and don't know they're supposed to be locked in their room. So they're going to wake up at some point and be like, why is the door open?
But that was the thing. It was the most chaotic but non-threatening thing that I could think of to just get the situation over with.
It worked.
Yeah, I think you were like, wait a second, let me insight this. And I was like, I don't care at this point.
You were like, I don't even care to insight it. I just want it to be over. But it was fun. That was good. That was good character stuff, I thought.
Yeah, I
fun
liked
stuff.
it. We also got to do the rumors, which was fun to incorporate this.
Yeah, DM was very excited about the rumors. He was all about the rumors.
It was a new mechanic. I wanted to see how it played out.
And so the big thing we figured out was one that our bishop dude, who we swapped him off. Instead of my gauntlet tied around him now it's like ropes around him. And then we take him up to the top. We go through all the old security that we went through last time. We go by the Clockwork Dragon. We go through the barriers. We go up the stairs to the Archbishop's office. There's someone in the secret office writing. We can hear them. We'll probably never find out who it was because of future events. Oh, Lord.
You probably killed, like, the most...
Everyone's dead. Most of the clergy are probably dead. Just a little hint as to what's coming.
What can I say except you're welcome?
Stop. I'm going to choke.
So, we get into the room.
Yeah, we decide to go into the main office.
And
our hostage is gagged now. We have a big craft punk is our hostage now.
I don't know why we didn't go into that secret room. If it was one person, we could have totally took them. I'm just saying, guys.
I kind of get the feeling it was some old man anyways.
I can't tell you.
I cannot confirm nor deny.
So anyways, we go back into the bishop's chambers.
Where everything started.
Yep. And we are now... We know at this point that the bell towers is where we need to go. And we figured out that there's 2 of them, actually. One on either side, at least from roof access, right above where we are. So...
Yeah, how do we get to the roof, Fate?
Oh, yeah. I summoned the power of Zeus. And I made a hole.
I didn't want to shatter the pretty window, so we went through the roof.
Yeah.
You made such a big deal about the window.
Call me Phil Swift, because I always cause a lot of damage.
And then it ended up not mattering, because we did way more damage than I predicted.
Nobody could have predicted you.
So
nobody predicts fate.
Now we get to talk about the Three Stooges scene where we're all trying to get to the
all trying to get out of the office and we can't.
Oh my god.
So I use my grapple gauntlet to get up, pretty easy, and then I try to pull you up, and I fail a strength check so hard, crit fail, roll the 1, and I fall flat on my face back into the office. What'd you say to me when I fell?
First thing you said is...
lose some weight! Like real defensively, trying not to look like a loser.
And then I said, you need to learn how to fall better. And then I then cast the enhance ability again. I give him like a cat's ability to...
No, you gave him the strength.
You gave me the bull.
Oh yeah, I gave him the bull ability.
Which I still have. I'll still have that when we start next time.
And so he now has advantage on strength throws. He doesn't have to worry about pulling me up.
As much.
Yeah, by
As
the way,
much.
I will say I barricaded the doors because, we were making all the noise in the world again.
Yeah, you put the couch in front of the regular office door, and then you put the desk in front of the secret bookshelf door. And then I said, and then she moves the chair back with the desk so that it's nice and neat. And
all the noise we were making and you falling back to the... Yeah.
So I go back up and I pull Fate up, and then I try to pull, and then I have you hook Craft on, and I pull him up pretty easily, and then I try to pull you up, and then I think you crit fail.
Yeah,
Don't you?
because you were failing, and then I'm like, well, can I use an acrobatics check to help him pull me up? Because I don't think you were going to make it.
You rolled like a 3 on a strength check, even with advantage.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I was like, well, can I run acrobatics to try to help? And that was another
Oh yeah, that was when I rolled
fail.
2 5s for both of them.
Yeah, that was it.
So I had another crit fail.
And
And
then
I
you
fell
fell.
back or something.
And it was just a very comedic scene. It was really, really funny.
This really basic attempt that should have not taken as long
It
as
should have been
did.
the easiest thing we did all day.
But everybody rolled ones.
Woo! It was awful.
So we're on the roof, and we're trying to decide, which bell tower do we tackle first.
Yeah, I'm gonna let you guys cover this because all I did for a while was just stand by the hole in the roof with the hostage and kind of like cover you.
Yeah, so I think I just was like, I don't know, and I just ran up to one of the bell towers, and then you hardcored after me. And
No, I didn't parkour nothing. Someone
did I
assisted
throw
me.
a rope down or something?
You rolled a 19 to athletics up the bell tower and then threw a rope back.
Yeah, and then...
Because I looked up and I was like, there's no way my little butt is getting up there on my own. Someone tossed me.
So then you had to come up, and then we decided to burn the wooden bar holding up the bell.
Yeah, so I start throwing little firebolt cantrips at this thing like it's some sort of cannon, and just try and wear away at it. And eventually it does give.
And this bell, we should probably say, had some glowing magical text around it. So we're like, this is probably what's holding up the shield around the city.
This is our ticket out of here, boys.
Yeah, so Fate proceeds to shoot this thing for like 8 minutes to burn this old wooden
frame.
Which was a lot more fire resistant than you would think.
because it was huge.
Probably treated real well. I don't know. I don't know stuff. I'm not an architect.
It was a couple of feet thick, and this was a cantrip level of damage, so not fast necessarily. Plus, it was reinforced with some cast iron.
Yeah,
As would have been, true in history.
So this thing falls, and it is glorious. It just sort of crumbles through the floor of this bell tower, and it just starts going dong, dong,
smashing
dong.
through floor after floor. We hear screams that are suddenly cut off. Not a good sign. We are, in fact, mass murderers, more than likely.
Y'all ever seen
Not confirmed, but very much possible.
Y'all ever? I should have said this. We Nathan Draked it. Y'all ever seen Uncharted 4 where they're in the bell tower of the old Catholic Church?
Nope.
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah.
No.
No.
Let's
I'm
just
not
say,
cultured like that.
Let's just say that there wasn't much of a church afterwards.
So yeah, okay, I'm following what you've done here.
Yeah, and then the magic dome covering the city starts to like flicker and stuff.
But it ain't dying.
Yeah, and I'm like, go to the other one. And then I think now's a good place to talk about the guards that came in.
So about this time, the guards, having heard the massive crack of thunder that blew a hole into the roof, and having heard a bell slam through about 4 stories worth of church, had decided that, maybe we should check out the Archbishop's study again.
The door's locked. Tell them what the captain of the guard said.
Not again!
Blocked by the same piece of furniture. It's insane.
And then wasn't the one guy knocking on the secret entrance?
So yeah, Gaddock was able to hear that from the secret passageway, whoever had been in the secret study was now trying to get back into the main study, which had been blocked by Gaddock. It's a lot of blocked doors here today. So the guards kick their way through the door, look up through this massive hole, and are like, quick, get to the bell towers, kill these fools.
And I'm like, nah, hostage.
And the guard's like, crud, hostage. Make a
He was
perimeter.
mad too.
Not
He
only was it a
steaming
hostage, it was like one of the biggest hostages you could have gotten.
in the whole city. Yeah.
So I think that's when we proceeded to make our way over to the other bell tower, but it wasn't as easy to deal with that one.
For some reason, people were alerted.
Yeah, so we kind of shuffle our way down from the one bell tower and we make our way over to the other. More of the same, where you just parkour your way up.
Yeah.
And I kind of struggle, but we managed
Yeah,
to
I
get
think
up
we
there.
struggled that second time, and I asked how much I'd have to pay you to cut off the tail and lose 20 pounds.
Oh, yeah, and then I jokingly say 30 pieces of silver, because, devil. And then you actually showed me 30 pieces of gold, and I said, I'm just kidding, I need it for balance.
So that was
So
math.
we try more of what we did with the first bell tower. I'm like getting ready to throw firebolt cantrips, and you're wanting to yank on the pole to try, or not the pole, the rope pulley to try and loosen it up a little bit.
Well, that was after the shield was casted to protect the bell.
Right. So at this point, I'm no longer hitting wood. I'm hitting shield, which is just eating up my bolts. And we kind of determined that this is going to take way longer than it's worth.
After the first blast attempt with the firebolt, there's a shield that gets cast protecting the bell, and you hear a much higher-pitched Gregorian chant coming from the second bell tower. So, having been alerted to the potential activities of terrorists, effectively,
Yeah, I mean, you hear one bell crash down, and you're like, oh.
that's bad.
So I was like, let me just try to nat 20 this bell down like I do with doors, and that
Yeah,
didn't
you
work.
tried to grab a bell that takes multiple people to ring it and rip it down
I was hoping
You
for
did
while
suc-
standing right under it. Very smart.
Yeah,
Very smart.
I would have took it for the team.
At this point, yeah, you probably would
You
have.
kind of had a death wish towards the end of this campaign. I don't know if that's because you wanted to stop playing or you were done with us or what.
I think I was just so like,
You were ready to die. You were
Oliver-
like, I'm just ready to be GM next time. I'm just...
no, Oliver is just so mad at Gaddick for bringing up stuff.
Hey!
What?
Nothing. Being defensive is all.
Oh, okay. That's all.
So, some failed attempts to bring the bell down.
And so we're having to I'm like, crap, we're not getting through this shield, and you're not strong enough to pull this bell down on your own.
So I think didn't
Yeah.
Gaddick yell at us, go up top?
Go up top! Go in from above!
So I climb up there and start hitting it with my war pick,
Which is doing nothing.
Trying to war-pick her way through, solid stone.
again.
Turns out
hoping
you
for a
didn't
nat
have
20.
any blasty magic, which I should have seen coming.
And
Yeah.
But,
so you say something, and you holler at me to get up there.
Yeah.
And I say, I just saw you kick in with your foot a magically enchanted steel door. Don't sass me, boy.
Don't sass me,
I
boy!
think that's what you want. You're like, go kick the ground, and I'm like, I'll do
Oh,
my
yeah, go kick the granite ceiling.
I think everyone's hoping for a nat
And then I
20.
said, fine. And so you help hoist me up. And I don't know what you expected me to do other than what I'm about to.
I don't know what you expected from me other than what I normally do,
Just
which
destroy.
worked.
But it was chaotically and hilariously glorious because I say, okay, you may want to step back a little. Actually, I didn't say
You used
that.
your child-killing spell.
That's not canon, you can't prove that.
I didn't say anything, too. You're
That's
just
how we
like,
all
oh,
know
wait.
it, though.
True.
I then prepare to cast lightning bolt, and I say specifically, I begin pointing it down at the granite. And before I cast it, I put it above my head, and I say, "The one called fate knocks at your door!" And I cast it like a ha downward, and I just obliterate this daggum ceiling.
You rolled for max damage off of a lightning bolt, and Stone doesn't have enough HP to stand up to that many D8s.
D6s.
Oh, it was 8 D6s?
Yeah.
And the way the DM described it was basically like you turned this entire tower with the bell tower part and all the rooms under it into basically a paper towel tube. You just hollowed it out. You melted the bell like straight
Independence
down the
Day,
middle.
this crap.
Well, the moment he destroys the bell, it does exactly what the other one did. The difference
But
is
harder.
he's weakened all the floors below with his lightning blast. The bell just tunnels its way through every floor of this tower.
And so Gaddick is quickly
No,
trying
I
to.
think he needs to tell
Okay,
us
go
about
on.
the office, where then the DM kind of points out the location of the office from earlier.
The secret study is directly beneath the bell tower that Fate has just soloed. So there is a chance that whoever was in that secret study that
He ain't there no more.
that Oliver Gideon locked in the secret passage may well have been underneath that bell.
He's goo now.
We will find
He's a
out.
goo man. Yeah, give me daps for that. Yeah.
We will find out with a D20 roll going into the next session on what this guy's luck looks like today.
Oh my
I
god.
hope he rolls a 20.
But
So-
yeah, after that tower came down, the captain of the guard dude was like, "Screw it, just go get him. Just go get him."
And
Kill them all.
Gideon Oliver's character was like, "What the crap?" And he's like trying to finesse his way off the wall.
Yeah, it didn't give me any time to get down before he Kamehameha
Yeah.
the entire tower.
Yeah, they destroy a tower while standing on top of it. They just
No
implode
time to
this
climb
thing.
down. He's ready to go.
But in my defense, I did have a plan because after I did that, I obviously I remember my bonus action, Tempestuous Magic, and I very lightly jump 10 feet in the air and land on the side of the building, only suffering like 3 damage.
Yeah, I don't get
You
that
didn't suffer any
option.
damage, but it was not very considerate to your party member.
Yeah, you just left Oliver up there to die.
I don't know what you expected me to do.
But Karen rolled like a 19 to get down, didn't
Yeah,
you?
one
So
of-
it was
one of
fine.
the good rolls.
Like, I straight up thought someone was gonna die.
You
like,
brought
I,
dynamite
honest
to a
to God,
lockpicking
thought
job.
someone was done.
I was preparing to hand somebody the PHB and be like, "You're looking for character, son."
I honestly thought at least one of you was not gonna make it out, if not both. I was like, if they both die, I'm just gonna cast fog. I'm gonna leave town forever.
Oh,
I
did-
also came prepared thinking that something like that might happen. I actually brought extra character sheets.
Yeah.
Always come
You are
prepared.
so prepared for your character to die because you have like negative stats and half the
health.
HP of everybody else.
I'm just glad we didn't have to use the secret plan that we came up with first thing in this session.
Oh.
The coffee plan.
Oh yeah.
We'll discuss coffee plan another time if it comes up.
Oh, I hope
I don't even remember what the coffee plan was.
Coffee plan was
Coffee
you,
plans where so I started blasting.
yeah, you cast fog and then fate runs you guys out and I'm
Oh
just
yeah,
like,
we were going
oh,
to give evidence to the guard, but then the bishop showed up, and
Yeah.
et cetera, et cetera.
Y'all wasted
Yeah.
like 20 minutes on that plan that
it
never
wasn't-
did
It was
anything.
such
It was
a
an
good
okay plan,
It
yeah.
was a good plan, not okay.
I think I'm pretty good at making up plans, to be honest.
Save coffee for later.
Yeah, but coffee did become our safe word because. So that's just our team's safe word now. It's written on my character sheet. Coffee, right up at the top, even above the words Dungeons and Dragons, because I know I'm gonna need it real soon.
Because we're going to have to get out of a situation.
Because you shouted it while jumping off the imploding tower. You were like, "Coffee!" Cafefe.
So now we're stuck on here on the roof in this half destroyed church.
with our hostage, and that's pretty much where we left off. Isn't
Yeah,
it?
don't forget that the guards are coming to murder you all.
Yeah,
That's
they're
fun too.
Oh Lord, they coming.
And you all definitely have a body count at this point.
We are mass murderers. Absolutely, we are mass murderers.
But we look fabulous while doing it.
As long as we can get out of the city limits, I think we'll be okay. But yeah, you guys ready to roll for initiative to talk about today?
Yee. 19.
I rolled a
19.
3. Oh, gee.
Do we need to roll again, or
You guys can either roll against each other or pick who goes first. I don't care.
I'm willing to cede since it's your campaign.
I was about to say, let me flex that commie muscle and just do the setup, and then we can pick up, kind of like the way we've done before.
Sure.
Sounds gooch.
So once we last left off, these chuckleheads here had just destroyed a bell, taken down 2 towers from the cathedral, murdered untold numbers of priests below.
Yeah, I had
caused-
flashbacks from when I was like 10.
Yeah, right. Caused panic in the streets, held a bishop captive, and somehow Gideon and Fate had managed to survive the collapse of the tower that they were standing on. They were standing on the roof of the cathedral, now mostly wrecked, and had to figure out how to get out now that they had destroyed this shield locking the city in. And that's kind of where we left off.
This was a grand session. We did our best roleplay yet in this session, I think. We handled everything well, except Fate, who... Well, I mean, you made it out.
I handled it as best as I could.
Yeah, because... So what we did was we immediately got off the roof first. We used our ropes to get down. We just left Kraft there. I meant to say something intimidating to him, but I forgot because I had to lower somebody down because Oliver was like, yeah, I'm going to climb down the rope. And then Oliver fell on his butt.
Losing most of Oliver's remaining health.
Almost every time you tried to climb down today, you fell on your butt.
Yeah.
You had the second worst rolls out of everybody here.
Yeah.
Getting down was the problem, though, and it was never getting over the wall. It was getting off of the
When
wall.
it came to carrying the team, that's the only time I did good.
Literally.
We'll get to that.
Yeah, then I had to lower Fate down because the rope fell. And then I had to come down. And it was pretty smooth sailing for me after that, to be completely honest.
Tell him what you said as you were lowering me down off the rope.
Lose some weight, which is the second time I told you that in this campaign.
And then, as a snarky remark, I look back up at him as he's slowly lowering me down, and I say, "Feel the weight of my sins."
They are multitude. But unfortunately, Fate did not make a very stealthy entrance.
Well, I tried, it just didn't work.
Yeah, Oliver and I slipped right into the crowd.
But as the cathedral was collapsing, all of the people living in the cathedral were panicking and running out. Those who are still alive, and the guards were swarming to try and figure out what was happening. So Fate's descent grabbed a lot of attention.
Yeah, a demon descending from out of nowhere in front of a burning church is usually not greeted with positive feelings. Especially when he yells, "Feel the weight of my sins," as he descends upon the populace.
Yeah, and people were rushing out of the church, and there were guards rushing around, and townfolk rushing around, and it was a mess. But you think we should tell our stories like one at a time, since they were all... Because we split up. There was a very organic party separation.
I think that would work. That way we can just make notes of like, okay, during this part, I was here, Oliver was there, and et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah,
and then we can all just convene at the end where we actually all come back together.
We should probably do mine first, because you two guys meet up towards the end of your journey.
Yeah, and your story was actually the most streamlined.
Yeah, I like had no trouble almost at all.
I mean, your rolls were phenomenal tonight. You didn't really roll below like an 18 when it mattered.
I know, I rolled a 29 on stealth at some point. I'm pretty sure I should have just turned invisible.
For a moment, you did. Unfortunately, you did it in an area where nobody could appreciate your invisibility.
Oh, but I do want to say, my original plan, because I didn't know about the chain net that stopped people in the river. I didn't know about that. So the original plan I had was to get us all to the river, jump in, cast fog above, minor illusion over us, and then just float away. But now I know that wouldn't have worked entirely.
They were one step ahead of you because smugglers had apparently tried that trick previously.
Yeah, that exact trick. So, I'm sneaking, all swag-like, just through the crowd, no trouble. And then I go up on the wall between gates, because the gates that are exiting are, like, packed with people. Like Attack on Titan style, like you said earlier.
Yeah, now that I think about it, the walls from the church to the other parts of the town actually remind me of Attack on Titan a little bit, because they're all, like, layered on top of each other.
Yeah, there's titans in the walls. But,
what's a twist?
So I have, like, my grappling gauntlet. So I just go up and over these walls, like, super easily. I get on the bridge super easily. Cross into the slums super easily. Like, nothing even trying to stop me. And then I grapple up on top of the wall to get out of the city. And I, like, go up, and there's, like, 2 guards right on my left. And they're like, "What you doing?" I'm actually going to pass to you and let you describe this a little more, because you did a great job playing the guards, and I loved it.
Thank you. It was fun to play some characters like that. But unfortunately, the walls being 60 feet tall, you can't really see what's on top of them. So he grappling hooks his way up, and I gave him a moment to dictate whether this was going to turn into combat or RP. And, of course, he turned it to RP.
I always choose RP.
Rolled a 19 persuasion to, like, diffuse the situation immediately. You just kind of said, "Hey, what's up, guys?"
Hey, it's nuts down there, right, fellas? Like we're meeting at the water cooler or something.
And, of course, they were just completely nonplussed and were like, "You can't be up here. We're going to have to take you back down to the inside the walls. We're still in a lockdown, or we're going to have to throw you in jail. Like, you got to take your pick here, but one of these is going to happen."
And I was like, "How much?"
One of them One wasn't so into the idea. The other, on the other hand, was all for this.
He was like, whoa, hold on, Jerry.
Now,
a man's freedom. What did you say? What was the line you said?
Hold on, Jerry. Now, what's the price of a man's freedom?
Man's freedom is a worthwhile thing. Something like that.
So, of course, you immediately were like, I'll give you 30 gold apiece.
Yeah.
And Jerry was very much into this idea the moment you started throwing around that kind of coin.
Yeah, well, remember, because you got to remember, if you haven't listened to the other ones, my character is a former rich guy, so he automatically he's like really has no problem throwing money around. He hasn't quite learned
concept of wealth.
Yeah, he hasn't learned the value of a gold piece yet. Exactly.
So they did bargain you up to 50 gold pieces, and you got away scot-free.
Yeah, because they were like 50, and I was like 40, and then they went, all right, get him. And I was like, whoa, okay.
Okay, 50, G.
I probably could have taken him, to be completely honest, but the bloodshed was I kind of wanted to get out of it relatively
unscathed.
Okay. I mean, I was low on health anyways. Once again, 2 guards. I think I could have done it, but why risk it?
And I think that was a really good moment of Big Money Haver absolutely would have just been like, throw money at my problems until they go away.
I'm pretty good with this character, I think. Not to slap my own stick, but I think I do a pretty good job.
Yeah, it was pretty well done. But they just literally you persuaded them to show you the door outside the city. He just took you out and kicked you out.
And when I got out, they locked it behind me, sealed it with magic, and then I was swarmed by merchants. 4 specifically. I'll pass it back to you because I really loved my banter with the merchants.
So, this being a major trade city and it having gone on entire lockdown, a lot of people use the city as like a waypoint for travel, trade, and all that kind of stuff. So, locking it down upset a lot of trade flow. So, whole caravans and ships full of goods are trying desperately to get in the city and make money. Like they've been, trying to complete those orders and get paid for it. And they can't. So, the entire outside is crowded with caravans and wagons and all kinds of ships in the river. And they just want to get in and figure out what's going on because they've just watched the cathedral towers implode on themselves. So there's some concern about potential money-making prospects. And so this is the first guy they've seen come out of the city in like 2 days. So they're like, what's going on?
Yeah, I rolled some checks on them and I was like, bruh, do I look like a guard? I was doing a little deception. I was like, I was trying to sneak past, but they kicked me out. And 3 of them believed me.
One of them called BS.
Yeah, he came up to me and he was like, you're full of it, buddy. Tell me what's going on in there. And I was like, do you really want to know, my friend? Do you really absolutely want to know? Because I'll tell you, my friend, then you're not going to like it, my friend. Absolutely not. So,
my friend.
And I rolled insight to see if he would tell anybody, and he didn't care enough to tell anybody.
He didn't care a lick about you. He's worried about his caravan and making money. Because he's got supplies going bad outside in his wagons, and he needs to
they
sell.
saw the church collapse from out there.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, there's a tiefling in there killing everybody, man. You need to leave. You're not going to make any money here. And then he gave me 10 gold, and he was like, I sell food and clothes. I'm going to make a fortune when this thing's over. Oh, my Lord. Oh.
And as a player who is controlling said tiefling, I was not surprised, just disappointed.
Yeah, and that wasn't even a lie. I didn't even have to roll deception. That was just the straight-up truth. Just framed like I didn't have anything to do with it.
Now, you did forget one moment in the crowd when somebody shoved a letter into your hand.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about my little letter, even though it's literally in front of me. So someone snuck me a letter that said, meet at the Wayward Tide, 4th Wharf, Blue Sails.
This was shortly after you got down from the church, right?
Yeah, this was when I was sneaky boy in the crowd. We'll get to a little more of that. I'll talk about the ship once they tell their story, because it's kind of all happening towards
I think you forgot to mention a very important reason of why you got out scot-free is because you used a very important tool at your disposal.
There was... So if you remember, we have the fate points, which are basically given to us for best of the best role play. And I had one, and I rolled a 1 on stealth, I think, at one point. And
Your
I was
descent
like,
from the church was a 1 initially.
And Karen was like, fate point, fate point, fate point, fate point, like just saying it over and over. And I was like, you're right. This is the moment I've been waiting for. So I fate pointed that, and then I got like...
You traded a 1 for a 19. It was beautiful.
Which was a 29 altogether. So it instantly became like the highest possible thing I could get without being a nat 20.
And that did kind of set the pace because, unlike you, Fate did not escape the church unnoticed, and it set up a lot of conflict for him.
Yeah, it was basically like pure rolls, because I rolled some 6s for stealth, but that's still a 16. Like, my stealth is insane.
You rolled a 2 and still beat the guard's perception roll.
He's like, hey, what's up, fellas? But yeah, I think that's where I'm going to leave off for me. And now I'm going to pass it on to, let's say, evens for Big Boy Chungus, odds for
Karen,
your name. Oh, it's Big Boy Chungus. Rolled an 8.
All right, so as I'm coming down from the cathedral tower telling Moneyhaver about the weight of my sins, all of a sudden there's people pointing fingers and screaming because there's now this demonic figure who, let's just be honest, he might as well have had those big old spotlights from the 20th Century Fox logo shining down on him.
And Karen's character was also screaming and pointing to blend in.
Yeah, Karen's character who came down first on their own klutziness, I guess.
Yeah, they just assumed she fell out of the tower.
Yeah, she actually had people helping her because they thought, oh no, you poor person, you fell out of the church. And just to save face, she, along with all these other preachers, or not preachers, priests and
clergy
civilians and clergymen, they're all just yelling and pointing at me. And I'm like, it's because I'm red, isn't it? So I managed to make... It wasn't too great, but it was a decent enough stealth roll where I try and just move with the crowd to get out.
Well, I think the big thing, you didn't pass a stealth check until after you made it through, but because you got so much attention, people were trying to avoid you.
Right.
So the crowd was parting like the Red Sea as people wanted to keep away from this dangerous demonic thing that has appeared in front of our burning church.
Red Sea's nuts got him.
And I really did try to like cover myself up to try and put on a little disguise, but I didn't have any of that stuff, and my horns made it nearly impossible. So while Moneyhaver is sneaking his way through like he's Batman from Gotham City,
swear to me,
I'm having to play this a little bit more cautiously. So I try my best to get out of the public eye. So I dip into an alleyway, which I did succeed. I didn't really draw any attention from there, so no guards or other civilians followed me. And I figured that there'd be more traffic at the larger gates out of the other parts of the city. So when I learned... Was it a perception check that told me there were other gates that were smaller that led out of the same areas?
It just, basically a perception and history check on the city.
Unfortunately, they were not as devoid of people as I had hoped. There were a handful of guards that were still watching these gates, and some people who weren't able to get out of the larger gate but thought it'd be faster to use a side gate were still there as well. So... Naturally, the first thing that goes through my mind is, crap, please don't let me have to blast my way out of here, which...
We thought for sure you were going to lightning bolt through some citizens.
I was waiting for the body count.
That was always my plan B. And even though that was the first thing that popped into my mind, I said, okay, I can't... I'm a chaotic good character. If I kill too many more people like I did in the church, I might as well make this a chaotic evil character, despite the fact that he's a sorcerer and a folk hero.
Well, yeah, we'll talk about that background
later. That needs to change.
That might be redacted.
So I'm sitting there
Folk
kind
hero
of...
to demons, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Jeez.
I'm sitting in the shadows looking at the situation. I'm like, okay, what do I have at my disposal? So I'm looking through my spell sheets, and I decide, okay, let's try and use some of that demonic deception and intimidation that I've hardly ever used in this run. So I come up with this plan where I cast Thaumaturgy on myself, and I decide that I'm going to use this spell to increase the volume of my voice. And I don't know why I said it, but I was trying to put the fear of God in these people. So I basically said, "Move, mortals, your God is here." I mean, the church is burning. Maybe something like that would scare the crap out of them, but it didn't work.
Unfortunately, your intimidation roll was a grand total of a 7.
Yeah, it was.
The armed guards were not intimidated by the mostly dead tiefling running at them.
So I'm like, crap, that didn't work.
Soon to be entirely dead tiefling.
And I genuinely thought that, okay, now I was about to turn to Danny DeVito. So anyway, I started blasting.
Very close.
But I took a second and I realized, okay, I still got a couple lower level spell slots. So I said, let me see if I can try and finagle this. And so rather than just blasting, I cast Enhance Self on myself. Give myself the strength of a bull. After I cast this spell as a bonus action, I leap into the air, and I'm trying to jump over the first wave of people that are running towards me. Most of them are guards.
Just 4 of them.
Right. And what I described was as soon as I touch down from jumping 10 feet in the air, as soon as I touch down, I'm going to put my head down, horns first, and just try and sprint through this gate. And it almost worked.
So close.
Yeah, because one guard swung at you with the
Halberd.
Yeah,
and he just barely missed me.
It took a 12 to hit you. He rolled an 11. The DM showed us the roll.
I was very upset by this.
And people didn't like the idea of a tiefling coming down horns first, so the other civilians kind of cleared out of the way. But there was one guard up on the wall who got lucky with a crossbow.
I don't know if it was luck.
Well, it was luck because it was an 18.
it was lucky. It was luck on somebody's part. But Kami, why don't you explain this next part, since I didn't really have a whole lot to do with this.
So ever since our second session, I have known that Fate was on a one-way trip to death. And I had enough room in his backstory that I thought I could play with the character and make things a little interesting.
Plus, he's our favorite meme.
Yeah, we can't let the meme die. He is the face of this show.
Yeah, it's true. We open and close the podcast with his catchphrase.
We can't get rid of him just yet. Plus, I'm not done toying with him. So what I decided was that as this crossbow bolt slams into his chest, when he finally does die, like we all knew he was going to eventually, that the djinn that originally saved him 10 years prior is not quite done playing with this particular mortal.
Karen, do you want to tell us the emotions that went through your body? I feel like we're mansplaining this whole thing. So were you excited to hear about the genie?
I mean, yeah, I was.
She and I were like halfway down our seats like, oh, it's the genie.
Yeah, I think like as soon as...
The genie's real!
Yeah, before he even spoke, I went, ain't never had a friend like me.
Well, I mean, like, it was kind of funny because you were like, and you get hit for your exact amount of damage and you hit 0, and like, I think we looked at each other like instantly, me and Gaddick, and we were like, oh no. And
you were in the bathroom when he died.
Yeah, you were in the bathroom when the crossbow
you,
bolt hit. I delayed everything for you to get to experience the whole of
explained
it.
And then like you started continuing with the like, and you died, and then we looked at each other when he was like, but wait, there's more, and we like looked at each other and we're like, we know what's about to happen.
Yeah, we've
been waiting.
We knew it was the djinn.
So suddenly, as Fate's knees are going out from underneath him and things are going black and death has finally come for him, he feels surging pain in the side of his face and in his left eye. And he hears a whispering voice in the back of his head say, I'm not done with you yet, mortal. You still have things to do for me. And he's suddenly reinvigorated back up to 1 health point, catches his feet, and continues to bulldoze through that crowd into safety in the next ring of the city.
Yeah, so I myself was shocked. I thought for sure this is where Fate was going to die. But I picked up, and so that's 1 wall of the city down and about at least 2 more to go. So I get to the next wall, and it's the same situation, just with more people, because this is... Was it the business district or the...
Yeah, this is the you've that first wall got you into the noble district. The noble district leads into the business district. So there's only 1 more wall to clear.
Right, and so it's same as before, just with more people this time because this is a more populated area. And again, I'm like, okay, I can't do what I just did again because I'm even weaker than before, and I don't want to risk anything that is going to cause harm. So I start asking the DM questions like, okay, what's in my general vicinity? What can I work with? What are the buildings like? Is there anything on the street that I could use? And I'm looking through my sheets. I'm frantically flipping through, like, okay, what can I do? What can I do? What can I do? And I notice that because of my character's background and his stuff, I have proficiency in animal handling of all things, which you would not think a sorcerer would have that.
No.
Because he's weirdly built.
You are weirdly built.
But I do. And I say, are there any carriages on the street? And you go into great deal that this is the noble district, and there are several iron and gilded chariots that have been abandoned by people trying to flee the area. Mm-hmm. And I explained to you this plan where, okay, here's what I want to do. I want to, if there's any guards around, I want to sneak, but I want to try and get on top of a carriage, and I want to do an animal handling check to try and get control of a group of horses that are connected to a carriage. And I want to just juggernaut my way through this wall, hopefully not killing anybody.
Hopefully they'll get out of the way.
But I said, at least I'm not blasting anybody. And
your standards are low when outright murdering people is like the step up.
Well,
when mass murder is like expected, there's something amiss.
But so yeah, I want to use the horse to get through the wall, but because I'm a good guy, I want to at least give the people enough of a heads up to try and get out of the way. So I cast Thaumaturgy on my voice again, 3 times louder, and I literally say, "Move!" I say, "Get gone or get trampled. Here comes fate." And I told the DM, I said, I say this to give the people at least a 30-second heads up, because I would think that'd be enough time to hear something, turn around, and then make that split-second decision of get out of the way or stay where you are.
And it was mostly enough. A couple of guards tried to intercept, but when faced with the prospect of charging horses and a carriage out of control, they quickly decided that in front of the carriage was not the place to be. You did break a couple of limbs and hit a couple of people.
But are they alive?
Nobody died. I did roll, and nobody died from your harem-scarum attempt. Some guards tried to stop the horses by shooting at them with crossbows, and one horse got hit with a crossbow bolt. It was not, however, enough to even slow the horse's charge. It only ticked the horse off, urging it on to greater speeds.
The best way I can explain this scene, it's like the Jim Carrey Grinch movie where he's coming down the mountain with this massive sleigh of stolen goods, and he's just like, "Dad, move it! Get out of the way!"
That was it, yeah.
That's the second live-action Grinch movie reference you've made today.
I like it, okay? Say what you will, I like Jim Carrey's performance.
Benedict Cumberbatch was the greatest Grinch of all time.
No.
Don't unsubscribe. That was a joke. I swear that was a joke.
The only Grinch movie worth watching is the original. What?
So I get through the business district, and I just managed to keep control of the horses from running or throwing me directly into the river. And I start running parallel with the river, trying to see what's going on. Because it's pitch black at this point, but I have night vision, so I can see a little bit. And I can tell that there's no way, much like Money Haver was able to get out through the river, that there's not really a chance that I'm going to be able to run directly out of the city. So I opt to jump from the moving carriage into the river, which thankfully didn't take too much strength or dexterity to land properly.
It is a big river and therefore very hard to miss.
Yeah. And so I'm in the river safely, and if you'll remember from the last podcast, I did a little trick where I went back to the sewer, because this is familiar territory, the sewer exit from earlier. And
That'd be a good place to pause, actually.
Mm-hmm. Yep, because there's somebody waiting for you at that sewer, but we need to get to them.
Right, so I'm at the sewer. I'm at least safe, but not home free, and I'm going to turn it over to Oliver's character.
I was the vanilla one again. Because I just ran at walls and jumped over them.
But you
I
played
think you
so
were kind
well.
of between each of us
Yeah.
in your play style today.
Yeah.
You were ahead of me most of the time, but you were behind Money Haver.
Yeah, I basically walked through the walls. I was just out of there.
You had no issues
Yeah,
whatsoever.
but you had very interesting character interactions, and I was just like, I'm gonna...
Yeah, I really liked talking to the merchants.
You had
the
some fun
guards.
RP this time, I think.
Yeah, I love the RP. It's my favorite.
But yeah, after seeing Fate descend and pointing and screaming like the rest of everyone, because, I thought that was a pretty good cover, I went to a less populated area and started climbing some walls. Miraculously got over them, because every other roll was a 1.
you were alternating 1s or 19s and 20s.
Yeah, you were like rolling with proficiency, and you would roll a 1 and a 2. You did that like multiple times. Rolled a 1 and 2.
Yeah, she did an advantage with a 1 and 2.
An advantage
and
with
almost
a 3 and a 4.
Yeah.
I mean, your advantage rolls were absolutely some of the worst I've ever seen.
Oh yeah, but then it was like, well, we'll see if you can get over the wall, or we can see if you can do the strength check, but it's going to be super high. But, you know, that ended up working out, so I just climbed up over each wall, ran out, stealthed my way over to the river. And my original idea was, like, when we get in the river, swim down, but there was that net there to stop smugglers and everything, so...
So the gates over the river have a hanging iron chain net that goes all the way down into the mud beneath, and that seals the entire thing off, so you can't just swim under the gate. There's a reason they've got those gates there. So they don't want people coming and going, and they're pretty thorough about that.
Yeah. So after discovering that and, you know, doing all the parkour in the world, I was like, you know what? I think I'm probably pretty tired. I'm just going to crawl back to the sewer. And that's where I sat for a while.
You were actually the first one to reach your kind of final destination on that one.
Yeah.
I was the first one out of the city, though, because I'm a god.
It's true. Well,
You just have god level stats.
I rolled so well today.
There was one time you almost rolled a 30.
Yeah.
29 on stealth.
Beautiful.
But so you actually crawled into the poop chute and were waiting there when Fate finally arrived and did his little air surge up.
Doing his
And that
splashy
was-
splash.
Yeah, you heard him coming. You readied an action with a dagger.
And I'm glad that I did the prestidigitation tempestuous magic thing, because had I just tried climbing up, I'm fairly certain I would have gotten a dagger to the head.
Oh, and did we mention, like, before we all split up, I told him to meet me at the river. I don't think we mentioned that. But
Maybe
that's
we
why
did.
everyone went to the river.
Yeah,
Also,
well,
like-
you said that our
Yeah.
original goal was to get to the river, jump in, cast fog, and then float out.
Yeah, but you guys didn't know my plan because all I said was meet at the river. And I waited on the bridge for a little bit. Then I was like, nah, and I left.
Well, to be fair, either you or your character did say that one way or another, I'm getting out of the city with or without you guys.
Yeah, I said that early on, like session 1.
Yeah.
But he loves you guys now.
And at that point, when you were on the bridge, you had that letter in hand, so you did
Yeah.
have a goal in mind.
I probably would have stayed there longer if I didn't have the note.
But, so Fate and Oliver had reconvened in the poop chute.
Yeah.
And we start kind of going back and forth over this plan. Like, okay, can we cut a hole in the giant door with some carpenter tools that Oliver had? Can we try, going underneath the net and teleporting? But that wouldn't work because I can't see past the door. We came up with a couple other ideas, and then finally we just said, let's just look at our inventory. And I noticed that I have a Dungeoner's kit, and I had to look it up, and it turns out that I have pitons or pittons for dungeon climbing. And I said, Oliver, you have any rope? And she said, yeah, I got 2 of them.
Yeah, because she had... Oh, hey, I meant to ask for my rope back. I didn't do it.
Yeah,
No, you're not getting it
it's the
back.
same
That's
ro-
my rope now.
You can all have some rope. It's okay.
It's the same rope that we used to climb down from the cathedral. When Oliver got down, we had to tie 2 sets of rope together because the cathedral's 100 feet tall and each rope is only 50 feet long. So he had 2.
My grapple is an insane 100 feet, which I did
Yeah.
not expect. I was thinking it'd be like 40. But no, it made it so easy.
It did.
I messed up.
And so I came up with the idea, because we've got one character who's super strong but can't see, and then I can't see, but I have negative statistics in strength. And I just told Oliver, I said, hey, look, if I give you these pittons and you take your rope, can you create a rope climbing apparatus so that we can get up the door? Because, it's made of wood. I can't blast it with lightning bolt because it's super thick, but it should be soft enough that you can just hammer in some pitons and get us over the door. And
Thankfully, Oliver had proficiency with carpenter's tools as well, so I gave him a little advantage there.
And then what happened after Oliver put all those little things up for you?
So Oliver is doing awesome. He looks like John Rambo or one of those other action movie stars who were just climbing up walls and sticking metal bits into It's just hard
running
surfaces.
a beautiful rope apparatus and looking. It was beautiful. It was beautiful.
Meanwhile, my half-blind, half-dead character is just kind of looking up like, yeah, that looks really great.
Yeah, I can climb that. And then, what'd you roll to climb that, buddy?
It was a 7, but since I have a negative, it was a 6.
So Fate can't crawl up.
He couldn't
this-
even get on the first one.
Yeah, I guess.
Wasn't it on advantage because of the pittance with the?
It was a
Yes.
crit fail and a 7 were the things.
No, it was. It was
No,
a crit
there
fail.
was
and
a crit,
7.
yeah.
Yeah.
I
It was a
remember.
crit fail. So you couldn't climb up. So I had to literally scream down, tie it around your waist. I'll lift you. And I have like barely any health left because I fell off half the distance from the cathedral because the rope had to break while I was going down.
No, just it untied itself.
Untied itself. While I was going down the side, it was just like, I'm gonna untie myself. So, hoist Fate up, and then
With your miraculous athletics checks.
And then there was some non-character arguing about how we were going to get down the rope. But we eventually came to the decision that, you know what, can you just lower me down with the rope and then you can just climb down on your own?
Yeah, I lifted him up the one side, and I was like, let me just lower you. It is gonna be fine.
Yeah, they were going to thunder step, but that would have called attention to where they teleported from.
Right. Well, the thing that I was thinking about is that when you teleport with Thunderstep, it creates a loud noise where you were, and then you appear within 90 feet of that 90 feet that you can see in range. So while everyone was looking where the thunder was coming from, we could have been on a dock or in the water somewhere, not being looked at.
Yeah, I mean, thunder coming from the sky isn't unusual anyways.
I mean,
Especially on that night.
I was about to say, that's the
Jesus.
least weird thing that whole day.
Yeah, I mean, those people just watched, like, the cathedral collapse.
Yeah.
Lightning struck the cathedral and it exploded, so
Okay,
thunder
which
would have
one-
been pretty appropriate.
Which one of you meatheads summoned Asmodeus to our plane of existence? I want to know right now. Because we just got struck by lightning twice. I just saw a demon coming out of the sky, claiming that he had sin weight or something.
Yeah, and you guys, like, tried to roll stealth, but a dog saw you, like, right away. You
Yeah.
guys rolled nothing.
It was such a non-issue because once you guys were not on the wall, once you were on the ground or in the water, nobody cared. Just as long as they didn't see you, like, coming out of the city.
Yeah, the merchants were like, you guys are swimming in poop. You're idiots.
Yeah. Pretty much.
This is the part where we kind of kicked back over to McMoney
I
Hammer,
think we
though.
should cut over to me because I was just wandering around the docks because I rolled a 1 for perception and I couldn't find where I was supposed to be going. But remember, I intentionally pulled my mask off so I could be noticed because I had a feeling that the note was given to me by my manservants, and it was.
The note was not given to you by the manservant.
It was arranged by my manservants.
that.
And then tell you tell. I want you to do the little voices.
I don't even know if I can do it right anymore. Too much pressure. So as he's
That was horrible. That was not even remotely
That
like
was
it.
so bad.
so as McMoney Haver's wandering blindly through these docks, he's finally stopped by the manservant who recognized him and was like, "Excuse me, sir, we're back here, 3 wolves." And just straight up picks up like he's been serving him for years, which he has, and takes him right back to this incredibly upper crust, fancy gilt ship. Like, the captain's quarters have been entirely redone to look like McMoney Haver's bedroom from home.
I'm
All
a
his
rich
things
boy.
are here. The ship's actual name is the Gaddock.
That's my character's name.
Special boy.
So, he's got servants waiting for him in a bath, clothes, the whole 9 yards.
And this was the part that almost made you spit coke onto the floor. Because I told one of my manservants, I was like, I need you to keep an eye out for a tiefling and and a twink. I was like, a twink, sir? And I was like, yes.
By the way, I should probably say that while Oliver and I were atop the door, his character said something that made me question his gender. I couldn't tell if that was legit or not, but now my character thinks that there may be more to Oliver than what either we first noticed or realized.
So I'm like, They're like, what did they say to me? What that made me say the next thing?
Compatriots of yours, sir.
And I was like, yes, but let me tell you something. I like pulled him in close and I was like, do whatever the tiefling wants. Do not aggravate the tiefling. All right? Don't aggravate the tiefling because he's just been like nonchalantly committing mass murders and stuff.
I thought he asked you, it's like, do we need to take care of these people or are they your friends?
Yeah, he asked if they were friend or foe, basically, and I was like, they're friend, but you do not upset that tiefling. He will sink this boat.
You were nice to me, but you were not nice to Fate.
And I talked about him behind his back a lot in this session. I told a merchant he was destroying the city. I told my manservants, like, he's crazy, just give him what he wants.
I'll control him, just don't upset him.
Yeah, that's what I said. I was like, if he does anything, I'll deal with him. Just be chill.
And so off goes, the manservant's name is Friedrich Hohenstaufen.
Describe him for us. He's a precious boy.
He's perfect.
He's a tall, slim, balding fellow with the most majestic and waxed of mustaches. A mustachio so well waxed that in a pinch it could be used as an improvised weapon.
Yeah, I think I said that you could do pull-ups on it or something.
Yes, and that is not inaccurate. And you're the only one who could get away with doing pull-ups on his mustache. And obviously dressed nicely in high-end livery, and then off he went to go find this random tiefling inhuman in this huge group of people.
And then you were so mean to him.
I was. But to be fair, first thing, my character's almost dead. And I profusely apologized afterwards because I said, look, I know you're just doing your job.
So I guess we should go back to their stories.
I think we
Yeah,
should
because you just sat in a bathtub till the end of the session.
Yeah,
almost.
My character has wanted a bath since the beginning because if you'll remember back to
Session 1.
Yeah, session 1, and he had to crawl through the sewer, and he was like really upset about it, and then immediately everyone was like, let's go back in, and Gadget was just mortified to have to go back into the sewer.
But that sewer moment was what got you the fate point, and you probably wouldn't have made it back to your bubble bath if you didn't wade through sewage.
I didn't even know fate points existed when I got that fate point. I was like,
great.
ooh.
I like the fate point system. I also really enjoyed being able to play Friedrich today because the continually calling everybody disgusting on the sly was fun.
He was just pushing people to the side.
Excuse me, sir. Might I recommend that you avail yourself of the bath and some fresh clothes, perhaps?
I loved him. Oh my goodness, I loved him. But yeah, he did come up to you guys. I think it's about time to get to that because
Yeah, we separated.
yeah, you left to go get a drink, and you told him to stay put and keep an eye out for me, and then he immediately wandered off.
And I was trying to get in the mindset of someone who is exhausted and half dead. And
Half blind.
And basically all I heard was, stay here, look for Money Haver. I'm like, okay, I guess she's giving me a choice. I'll go look for Money Haver.
So off Fate wandered to go find Money Haver, and thankfully tieflings are distinctive because Friedrich found him pretty quickly.
Yeah, almost immediately. And then you were really rude to him. You were like, do your job. Just go find Oliver.
He was looking for me. He says, excuse me, are you the one called Fate? I said, I don't know. Am I knocking at your door? And I that was the last time I would do that for the evening because I felt like I was killing that meme. So I let it be. And he said, Mr. Moneyhaver is requesting your assistance on the Gaddick.
Yeah, and you were like, of course, that's the name of his boat. He was like, he has a boat? Mini, actually.
And then he started asking about where Oliver was, and I got miffed that he was asking all these questions that I didn't really know the answer to. So I snapped at him, said he needed to do his job, and
so mean.
In character, I even went through the motions. I shook my head really fast, and I started, trying to get whatever voices were going through my head out.
That's how good a guy you are in real life. You felt guilty because your fake character was mean to this lifeless NPC.
Yeah, after you were weren't like reaming him for it. You're so mean. You're so mean.
Well, Fate's chaotic good, and I was trying to establish with this final chapter that there is some good in him. So I thought, okay, I just bit this guy's head off for doing what he's supposed to be doing. I can't let it stand like that. So I profusely apologize up and down, and with a successful charisma check, he quickly accepts the apology.
You're just lucky. He could have bent you in half.
I
imagine his character sheet is just like
Friedrich.
incredible.
Friedrich is not just like a butler. He's like a bodyguard. He's like the subtle, low-key. Even Gaddock doesn't realize how
Alfred
this.
Pennyworth.
He should be like the.
It's Batman and Alfred's body.
He should be like the mortal form of the god of servitude.
But so
You're not that special, McMoneyhaver. You don't have that much.
McMoneyhaver feels like he's that special.
He certainly does.
I point the butler to where Gaddock is. I said he's getting drunk in a bar.
Not Gaddock.
Oh, sorry, Gideon. It said, "How might I know him?" And
You didn't know what Oliver looked like.
Well, no.
You couldn't remember.
Fate did. I didn't. So I had to ask Karen. And I said, "What does your character look like again?" And she described that I basically dress like a ranger, except instead of a bow, I've got a big old scythe. And so she said, "What does this person look like, sir?" And I said, "Look for the Rangers pretending to be the Grim Reaper."
Very good, sir.
And I started heading towards the boat, and I look up, and it's big and blue, and it's got gilded letters. And I said, "Of course, he's got his own ship."
Of course.
Many.
Mini ships. Ship boy.
So Friedrich did go into the bar and collect an Oliver Gideon who was doing his best to get drunk.
Yeah, I mean...
You rolled a 20 on your con check to see if you got drunk.
You didn't even
I
get
am,
drunk. You didn't even get drunk.
No buzz, nothing.
After slamming like a trifecta of brandy,
Yeah.
rum, and whiskey.
It was a stein full of a Long Island iced tea.
As the three horsemen of the apocalypse.
You didn't even taste the alcohol, I bet. It was just if it just tasted like water going down.
You chugged it and said, "You got anything stronger?" And the bartender got really concerned.
I'm really concerned for your liver.
Yeah. I love the servant Friedrich.
And he's just pushing people out of your way to get you out of there.
Yeah, because he just comes up and he's like, "Hey,"
You wouldn't happen to be Oliver Gideon, would you?
and I think I was just like, "Yeah, what's up?"
And so, of course, Friedrich takes Oliver back to the boat. And
I mean,
Yeah.
the cutest. Oh, I love him. I can't even get over it. Like him pushing people out of the way, like so sweetly, and yet, like just shoving them with no F. Oh, I love him.
And while he's headed back with them, Fate enters my room after I finish my bath, and I'm just like, "What happened to you, bud?"
And you have to remember, during this whole ordeal, we've been running around mostly in pitch black. And when we were in light, I was never in a situation where I could immediately see my reflection. So at this point, I just know that I've got...
Nobody's looked at you in full light except for Friedrich, who has no idea what you looked like before.
Yeah, so you just assumed your new look was normal.
So Moneyhaver freaks out, and I'm like, "Do I look as bad as I feel?" And what was it you said?
I was like,
You
you look as bad as you are.
And I say, "Well, I feel bad. You got a mirror around here?" And you say, "Yeah, over there." Because it's a wealthy man's cabin and bathroom, so of course
A
it's got a
wealthy,
mirror.
self-absorbed man's cabin.
Yeah,
Yes,
so I
very
look in a
much.
mirror,
But he has friends now, so I'm happy.
and I don't freak out because this doesn't really surprise me, but I do get really disappointed, and I'm like, "Ah, crap."
So when Fate experienced that searing pain and lost his left eye, it was replaced with an all-black orb with a white symbol suspended in it that follows around his other eye, kind of like a glass eye would be. And now he's got scorching and scar marks all around his left eye socket and
Zuko
side of his
style.
head.
I don't know if
Yeah.
you actually explained like how that all. Like I know you explained what the djinn said and everything, but
Yeah.
not the
Yeah, I don't-
scorching.
yeah.
Well, when you looked over and saw, I did say that the side of his face burst into flames
Yeah, but
after
I
the
don't-
crossbow
She
bolt
means
hit
for
him.
the podcast.
Oh, apologies. I thought I said something about that.
No,
The sudden searing pain
You know
in his
what? I
left
don't really remember. I think left. I don't remember, dude.
I did mention the pain in his left eye, but I'll clarify. When the djinn decided to take mercy on Fate, he took his left eye as payment, and in that sudden burst of flame, replaced it with a little something to remind him of he owes him a debt, and he's got a job to do.
Is he going to get disadvantage on ranged attacks now?
Thankfully, he hasn't tried to make one of those, so hopefully we'll be okay.
Yeah, because I was reading something earlier about a guy who lost vision in his eye in D&D, and he had disadvantage on certain types of attacks and stuff.
It's because when you actually do lose your vision in one eye, you lose depth perception.
Yeah.
So I think that's fair.
We'll see what happens. I'm not gonna go too overboard with that.
Character's already pretty handicapped, but
Yeah, that strength skill isn't helping.
Yeah, but his AoE magic kind of helps.
yeah,
I
you
haven't
don't
seen-
have to hit your target if you can destroy a whole city block in one
Yeah.
blast.
Exactly.
I'm like a shotgun. You don't have to be accurate because just point in the general direction. It's going to die.
But yeah, so the Djinn did take a payment, and that was what the Gout of Flame was that Oliver saw.
Well, I was sitting on top of a wall.
When Fate got shot. So that gave Gaddock McMoneyhaver a small heart attack to see his compatriot scarred with a brand new funky looking eye. It's about at that point, as you guys were
Yeah.
recapping for each other, that's when Oliver rejoined the party.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you guys got to eat and drink, and you weren't allowed to have any of my drink, which was like clear scale something, which is Gaddock's favorite drink, and it's basically just lizard folk vodka. It's like you can have anything you want to drink except my favorite.
Oh my gosh, I love that. It's just weird, and I love it.
And then there was some character catching up, like Fate, put his mean demeanor aside, and he apologized to Oliver and McMoneyhaver, and just apologized and things. Said, "Look, I'd probably be dead way longer than I am right now, and you guys helped me with that. I really appreciate that."
Even Gaddock was even the one to start the
lovey-dovey
little emotional
session.
moment. Yeah, which was really unusual. But you
Yeah,
guys are his
sweet
first
though.
friends ever, so
Oh.
and Fate is, Fate respects him a little bit, but he's still a little uneasy. But the main reason why he likes him is because he's the first person in 24 hours who hasn't actively tried to kill him or throw him in jail.
Hey!
even Oliver held a knife ready to throw it at you.
That's true. I didn't think about that.
And I didn't say this on the podcast, but I also had I had a moment a little bit with Moneyhaver on his ship before Oliver arrived, and then when we were on top of the wall, or when we came off the big door, I had a moment like that with Oliver, but it was very brief. So, Fate's...
We had to find the Gaddock. We had to find him. We were worried about him.
Yeah, so Fate's starting to warm up a little bit. One of his things is that he has a hard time trusting allies, but now that, they've saved his life and he's saved theirs, there's a little bit more trust built up, and he just wanted to let them know that, hey, it's okay. I'm sorry and thank you.
I'm
All
just
it
gonna
cost
say
was
this.
the lives of everyone in that cathedral.
I'm just gonna say
And his
this.
left eye.
You should trust us, especially Oliver, because he's been lifting you up the whole time.
Yeah.
Put the team on your back.
But
little
basically, they let us stay on the boat, clean us up. But then the butler was like, "Yeah, the situation with you and your father has not changed. McMoneyhaver, you have to leave now."
This was just a brief bailout, as it were.
It's not exactly what you called it, but you can't call it what you called it on the podcast.
And I proceed to ask, okay, does this constitute as a long rest? And you said yes, and then I screamed, yes, because finally...
You clapped, and it was like really loud, and you scared.
Everyone.
Because finally
Yeah.
I was above single digits in health.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have been single digits for quite some time.
I need to start just hanging back being the spellcaster, because I feel like
You mean playing your class?
Yeah.
Yeah, today you were mostly 1 HP, and before that, dead.
7 HP, 0 HP, 1 HP.
Oh my goodness, I absolutely loved it. But yeah, then we all got off the boat, and now we're just kind of living our lives as best friends.
Yeah. Well, I don't know.
Maybe. We'll see. It might be a long time before we see their adventures again, because we're rotating dungeon masters.
But I
Karen's
greatly
campaign
look
is
forward
next.
to the next installment.
Yeah, because we're gonna do Karen's campaign next, or at least because hers is a 1 to 20, and I guess we're probably gonna take breaks within that.
Yeah, of course. Whenever you guys want to.
And then we're gonna start Waterdeep with Big Boy Chungus, and I'll probably have a one shot in there. All mine are one shots basically.
I think this was a very stressful session, not because I'm stressed. It was just we separated the party and we were all like, oh no, this is terrible.
But I
really
hate
liked
doing
it.
that, but it worked out extremely well for me.
I clarified to Kami earlier, I said, I do not want to see Fate dead. I love Fate.
We all love
But I am totally understanding with your rules as the DM that if fate bites it because of previous decisions, then that's what happens. And he genuinely threw me for a loop when he said the djinn comes in and gives me a second chance. I'm like, oh, the meme still lives.
You just scared me when you slapped the
Aw.
table.
No, I like it.
It looks like you
though,
scared
'cause
Audacity too. It's wigging
I
out.
liked this because I felt like everything was high stakes, high stress, and it was kind of like,
Yeah.
coming up to the climax of the story where we had to get out and everything. And
And our HP
fate
was so
biting it.
low. If we would have got cornered, we probably would have died.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
I
So
was less
I
than
did
that.
want some fear in the mix. It makes you feel a little bit better when you've succeeded, right?
Yeah, and then, can you imagine if Fate, with that one hit point before he's even halfway out, died a second time?
I
We were
had a plan
so-
for that.
Yeah, well, tell me your plan for that.
Well, so the Jinn has given him a second lease on life, and the Jinn doesn't really care about what circumstances he's in. He's given him another shot and given him a job to do in exchange for that saving of his life. But if Fate had died immediately after getting resuscitated by the Jinn, he'd have been like, forget it, you're useless to me. I'm going to keep your soul for eternity as my plaything.
Yeah,
You've let me down.
Even though I'm a sorcerer, I very quickly became a warlock.
This is less of a magical sugar daddy and more of a magical, I don't know.
Boss.
Yeah, loan shark.
yeah, I like that lone shot.
By the way, don't forget to sacrifice 3 babies at the end of the month, or else you're fired.
Yeah, but now I think we can get to the part where you tell us, Kami, everything we did wrong and everything we missed
This is
in
a
the
roast.
campaign.
I think there's a shorter list for that if he just told us what we did right.
Yeah, I don't think
Nothing.
he's going to tell us who actually killed the Archbishop, because I think it might go into something later for you.
There'll be some things that I'll leave out. But again, I don't know how soon we'll touch all this, and I'm going to kind of bank a little bit on you guys forgetting things.
I'll forget.
Exactly. There's a lot of stuff. I don't know how long the podcast has run already. I don't want to take it too long.
No, it's good, man.
All right.
We can do a feature-length film length if you want.
I'll give you the brief rundown, though. So the Archbishop was Alexander the Ninth, the guy that you supposedly killed. Alexander actually did not come to power in a very clean kind of way.
I didn't know that.
The Province is the neighboring city-state, and all of the city-states have an electorate. The leaders elect their overall emperor, who has lots of power, obviously, in the country. The country's name is Almain. Well, having more electors on your side, the emperor is selected from the electors. So, when an emperor dies, all the electors convene and they stick a new emperor on the throne. Hoorah! Province has been trying very hard to get one of their guys on the throne for quite a while. And so the Pravini approached Alexander when he was a young man, bribed him, got him into the clergy, all through some covert stuff, and ended up getting him into the archbishop seat so that he could support Pravini policies and, fall in line.
Whoa, this is way different than I thought.
However, once Alexander did achieve power, he systematically destroyed the system that got him into the archbishop seat to begin with, destroying most of the Pravini influence in Rothburg.
No, stuff's starting to click together for me now that I know this.
So
He said, "Fuck you, I'm stealing it."
I'm stealing it.
Alexander actually was a very peaceable pope and archbishop, very open-minded, not bigoted like a lot of the other church members are. The
And
settings.
up until I came along, tieflings were allowed in the city.
Yeah,
That's not happening anymore.
Justified their prejudice. Yeah, after it was over, I told the DM, I was like, "There's going to be straight up concentration camps for tieflings now, aren't there, in that city?"
Yeah, well, they're not going to let him in, and if they try and get in, there's going to be consequences. But Alexander, as part of weeding out the Pravini influence, brought on a young Aaron Birchwood to work with him. So Birchwood was kind of his underling, operating, and that's why they were siphoning funds out of the church, was to redirect it into covert retaliation against the Pravini.
Now I do have a question.
Yeah.
Did Birchwood die when Tower collapsed?
Birchwood is very, very, very two-dimensional.
Ooh, we didn't even talk to him.
So you guys have actually, and
Well, we did give him a ring.
We gave him something.
so On the other side of things, Kraft Richter, that guy you found, is very much a conservative, zealotous kind of religious fanatic and has been opposing Archbishop Alexander's policies for years. So, sensing some conflict, the Pravini approached Richter. And so Everard de Bracon, that guy you marked in a turn underneath the church, was the active Pravini agent funneling money and influence for Richter. Now, Richter had no idea, but Everard was the guy who teleported you guys and faked the Archbishop's murder. So you guys murked the guy who framed you already.
Yeah, I kind of...
But Richter had no idea.
Figured that.
Richter had nothing to do with that. He just thought the Pravini were helping him undermine Alexander, and were going to install him as Archbishop when Alexander inevitably bid it or was kicked out. So Richter's really only guilty of scheming and being kind of not nice, kind of racist.
You know what? I think being left tied up on a flimsy roof was fine then.
But
I'll
I tell you what, I
We did
rolled on
leave
it,
him.
and they did save him. Richter is alive, and all of the nice, open-minded people are dead. So this city is about to see a drastic change in policy.
this city.
Speaking of which, whatever happened to the priest and the wizard that we left in the basement that I supposedly put Naruto seals on the doors?
Yeah, they're fine. Richter went down, sent some guys down to get them. They're totally fine. Those agents were actually Pravini agents answering to Everard de Bracon. That's why they were, the dead people in those side rooms were used as part of the magic channel to teleport you guys.
Oh, dang. That's
I
like...
kind of figured.
And the
Crazy
assassin that
magic.
you actually killed in the under area was teleported in as well at the same time as you guys, and he's the one who used your weapons and stuff to kill the Archbishop. So he was skulking and trying to stay out of sight.
Quick question though. I didn't actually have any weapons that could scorch somebody, so how did the Archbishop get scorch marks around his body?
That assassin,
Yeah.
he's got other magical implements, but y'all, when you fried him and cooked him from the inside out, some of the stuff didn't survive.
So I unintentionally destroyed evidence.
A little bit, yeah.
Oh, okay.
So there's been a lot of money, paper trails, notes, things like that. So you remember you found Everard de Bracon's note to home saying, "Oh, Pravini's great" and stuff like that. And there's some other things that y'all missed along the way. There were scorch marks underneath all of you when you were teleported into the Archbishop's room. So if you had gone back and followed up maybe at the inns that you had stayed in prior, you'd have been able to track some of that magic. There'd have been scorch marks underneath the beds you were occupying when you were teleported.
I didn't even think to go back to the ends, dude.
I know. All those components down in Everard's magical workroom for doing the teleportation spell. There were other notes in there about people to look for. Some of those. There are other agents, other things that had you pursued, going to the inns, you'd have run into some of those Pravini agents who were scouting for adventurers to use for this kind of a heist. Or, framing, I should say. So, yeah, the whole thing has been down to just Pravini meddling in Rothberg policies because it's not common knowledge yet, but the Emperor just passed suddenly.
Wasn't me!
Yes, it was.
So
Yes, it was.
de Bracon was suddenly desperate to get a compliant Archbishop in power so they could get some Pravini policies moving.
Oh, wow.
We didn't get any of that.
I'm so sorry we ruined your campaign.
No, you didn't ruin it at all.
No. We didn't ruin anything. I derailed the campaign.
Well, and but I noticed immediately when we started that all y'all's policy was let's just get out. It wasn't clear your name, it was let's get out of this city.
Yeah, that was more Gaddick's thing. If they would have gotten Gaddick's identity, he would have 100% wanted to clear his name because he's rich and well-known and has a rep. But if you don't know who he is, screw these people, I'm leaving.
Well, and there was no real, y'all never gave your names to anybody except each other. There was no other way to, I'd love to have tracked y'all down with more targeted stuff, but y'all didn't really give me anything to get a hold of.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're good at that.
And Faye was willing to just go with getting out of town because he's a tiefling in a church next to a dead priest. Doesn't exactly
Yeah,
look
it's so good.
So there you go.
And
There was a whole
Oliver
bunch of
is
political machinations that y'all
stuff.
found yourselves in the middle of.
I'm actually really surprised we didn't see a return of the automaton.
The automatons were used out in the city proper, but they take a long time to get moving, and they take a lot of sorcerers to operate. And hey, guess what? Citywide sorcery is really hard to do when your channel has been destroyed by a raging tiefling. Those bells acted as a focus for a lot of the big state-level magic.
They did.
Past tense.
Yeah,
I
they
wanna go
are
back.
melted into slag. What?
I want to go back.
To the city?
Yeah.
I do not.
I want the
Obviously,
dragon.
I don't.
I want the dragon.
There's,
It was
you
so
want to
cute.
tame the clockwork
It
dragon?
was so cute.
We'll make you
I really
one, but
did
we are
like
not
it.
going back to that city.
Yeah, we will
I
find
am
an
not going back
artificer
to
or
that
something
city.
to make you one. I'm not.
We should go back, make some friends.
I
Be
think
good.
Oliver and I could get away with going back. There's no way Faye can go back ever.
Actually,
There's no way a tiefling's going to be allowed back in that
Yeah.
city.
You
unless
justified their racism.
And then you guys all managed to make sure that the most evil and corrupt and zealotous leaders ended up in power. So well done.
And I honestly don't think Gaddock cares at all.
The
I
theocracy.
know I don't.
The theocracy has only grown stronger for your presence.
We're the bad guys.
You
They should be thanking
We
us.
didn't kill the Archbishop. but
Richter
we're
should be thanking us.
Aaron
I
Birchwood
mean-
was actually going to succeed as the next archbishop and follow some of those more moderate policies,
And
but
then
now
we killed him.
you 2D'd him, so Kraft Richter's going to be the next archbishop,
Oh no.
and he's got a grudge. He knows what you all look like.
I guess
He
you could,
does know what we all look like.
I guess you could say that the other guy got his bell rung.
Oh, if he comes after us, that would actually be really fun. I would love to play that.
He is a puppet of the Provini, who
Yeah.
now have 2 votes on that council, so
Oof.
who now are going to decide the next emperor. Good luck.
Oh boy.
We just made the world terrible.
All those in favor of fleeing the country, say aye. Aye.
Oh my goodness. We ruined your whole world.
Sorry, Chungus, you don't get
Yeah.
an eye.
We ruined
I
everything.
still have one good one. I can still use it.
Oh my goodness.
Hey, you haven't ruined anything. It's just evolved.
No,
Or
we've ruined
devolved.
things. We've ruined
Or
everything.
progressed. Welcome to the Dark Ages, people.
With 2 lightning bolts, I sent an entire civilization back to the Dark Ages.
How does that make you feel? Eh.
I mean, I'm not back in the Dark Ages.
At least that one merchant guy is going to make a bunch of money. We
You should have got his name. We could have been best friends.
could have been pals. We could have ruined cities for him to go sell food to after.
Actually, knowing my character, I
So
probably
basically,
would
you're going to be the CIA toppling nations.
Yeah, we're going to introduce cocaine to the slums FBI style.
have... Actually, I was the CIA.
Oh, that was the CIA?
Opium to the Chinese. Oh my word. So there you go. That was the basic plan that I had woven together for the Theocracy, but it turned out that y'all didn't need all the details to make it out.
Yeah, just blow up where the bad guys were, except to kill all the good guys and not the bad guys, and then leave.
Yeah, that one.
Well, in our defense, we didn't know who was the good guy and who was the bad guy.
Yeah, we did a little bit. We kind of did, though, didn't we?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, we sort of did.
We didn't dig too much deeper than the surface.
We're terrible players.
Hey, our job was to get out, and we got out, okay?
I did my job, not my problem.
Did fate single-handedly make the world a worse place?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, gosh.
Is that my rich white human dude's problem? No.
Yeah, you're still allowed in the city with full rights.
Yeah. Nothing has changed for me.
Poor Oliver. He's probably going to be so torn after this. He's going to be like, oh no, I did a bad.
But you know what? Here's the thing. None of y'all's characters know any of this. This is
Yeah.
all just your player knowledge. All you know
Yeah.
is that you were framed and you escaped getting framed.
That's what's
I
important,
feel like this is
right?
going to come back to haunt us in about 2 or 3 more campaigns down the road.
Yeah, you don't know.
Maybe. If there's one thing I've learned from watching and listening to other people's D&D stories, is that when you got a long connected story like this, stuff always comes back to bite you in the butt.
I have
Or
tried.
take your eye in this case.
Well, yeah, that one. Bite you in the side of the face. I have tried to incorporate people's backstories into things, so
it's great.
I like it.
we'll see what happens.
I love it.
But
Yeah, but that's probably good for today. I'm actually pretty sleepy.
I'm very tired. We got a long drive to get back home.
Yeah, so thank you all very much for listening. Remember, you can pick up merch from our D&D campaigns and etc. on the eBay, link in the description below. There's also links to donate if you want to support the show. You can check us out on Patreon, where we have lots of cool stuff you can look at. Also, at B3 Productions on Twitter, and we have a Facebook page as well, all once again in the description. So that's it. Thank you all once again, and we'll see you next time when fate knocks at your door.